at. The bottle's getting empty up the crack and we stacking chips. All of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated pub sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced. Leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Friday, February 17th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. Finally starting to break through. Big night last night. Felt good, man. 12-4 plus 8.19 units across all sports. 3-0 in NBA. So we went 5-0 in NBA. Thursday through Wednesday, Thursday, 5-0 in NBA, which is helpful. It's been a tough season. 3-2 plus 1.39 units in NHL, and 6-2 plus 3.8 units in NCAA basketball. So that feels good. It's one of the few things that is feeling good right now. Bodies in kind of tough shape, but the winning is healing. Shout out to Viper NB. Thank you. Last year we got on a very big run, and we just kept winning and felt, I guess, I don't know. I definitely don't feel like I took it for granted, but it's been a tough start to the year, and I need more winning. And yesterday was a great day. We need to do it again right now. A nuke worker in the house says, happy Friday, fellas. Let's get down to business. There's Brian Watson. A nuke worker, 18 college games on today's show. Yes, 18 on today's show. We have the great Bobano joining us for both NHL and NCAA basketball. Every single NHL and NCAA basketball game will be broken down right here. Dan Kelly said, I just got on the Wizards to make the playoffs at plus 310. Most likely I will have a plus money middle in the playing game. Wow. That is a very good look, Dan. And also, they could face the Raptors. And I've already got the plus money there. But that would probably, if it all goes the way I expect, be the final playing game. That's an interesting thought. They sure took over that basketball game last night. It was great to see. We had... What was it? It was, God, everything is, I don't have my NBA up here because there's no NBA today. But I had the team total under for the Timberwolves. That's a very interesting look, Dan, and I'm going to copy and paste it. I love it. There is Creek Man says, hey, Nuke, you like Wright State today? Razor Sharp picks in the house. Hit a $3,600 pick six at Gulfstream. Ooh-wee. And we have six horse racing shows coming up over the next, 3 months, 6. So our next big one is the first Saturday in March. Offhand, I think that's the second. I'm not sure. But first Saturday in March, we have the Fountain of Youth. First Saturday of April 1st, we have the Florida Derby, the day with all the other big stakes races. And then on the 8th, we have the Santa Anita Derby day. And then, of course, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont. And Razor will be a big part of that. So shout out to Razor. $3,600 pick six at golf. Like it's nothing. Love it, Razor. Love it. Great work. Great work. AJ 1337, Rocco Rogers, Ryan Mueller, Jalen. Nice. I like it. Jalen, the respect. Thieves by Law, serious business. North Ender, Middle Tennessee State. That was too easy. Maryland +1 was too easy. We'll go over those spots here. And the under in the Maryland game. And comparing what was happening to Purdue right now in conference to what happened to Connecticut when they started their conference schedule was beautiful. Sky Dragon says, I've had it with Calgary. That was tough to watch. Well, not for me. But I don't want you losing money. I don't know. I'm sure you didn't bet Calgary last night because they were such big favorites, but that puts a big smile on my face. Calgary losing. Look, I despise Vegas, but I put their hat on after watching them lose last night. I love these teams losing. Brings great joy to my life. Troy says, Wizards came back, broke my parlay. Oh, damn. You were on the Wolves. Too bad. Arizona double up, smash and grab was too easy last night as well. Andrew G, J, W, D, Jenkins, Lee, Davis, Nasty, Nate. We are not skipping NHL, sadly, Nate. But look, 18 of 23 games today are on the hardwood. AJ swept NBA before the All-Star break. I hope you did, man. There's Lucky Power. Sammy Comer, Carter, great, man. He's money in the bank. Carter's good to go, man. He's Carter, Ella, they're doing great. I'm the one struggling right now. Lucas Ryan, I would love that very much. There's Rob Garvey, says super sharp captain yesterday. Yeah, it was just, maybe whatever it was good. Earl Sports says, what's good? Let's go Islanders today. I'm already on the Islanders -1. I took a -1 at +154. Rocco Rogers, Maryland moneyline, Blues moneyline. How about that? That was easy. I was so adamant. One of the most yesterday, probably the most strong comment I said was that put the Devils' incredible road record aside for a second, but without Hughes in St. Louis against a Blues team that's won 2 straight, the young players are stepping up, scoring goals, that the Blues will win more than 43.8% of the time. I'm certain of it. I think they probably win over 50% of the time, honestly, at home right now when the Devils don't have Hughes and the Blues are on a 2-game winning streak. And it was a pretty easy, comfortable casher for us at +130. Andrew G, Shogun Soup, Sammy Comer's on Islanders money line. Damn, -106. That makes me nervous. I don't like that. Rocco Rogers liking the Islanders too. There's Alfred. Nuke Worker says Red Wings making a playoff run. That would make a lot of money for me in Turnsey if they do that. They still got a lot of work to do. RV Earl Sports, RVD 420, North Ender Slatsy in the house. Sorry, I'm a little behind here. 4th straight winning day in NHL. I love seeing that. Chris Neal retirement night in Ottawa on Isles -106 and Stars moneyline -104. I thought about the Stars, and we'll talk about that. And Tay Butta says T-Wolves started their All-Star break in the 4th quarter last night. But you're right, they did, man. You just can't trust that team's heart whatsoever. They just have no heart, sort of like Nashville Predators. Take Philip Forsberg off the ice, and who's going to step up? Duchesne and Johansson? Under zero circumstances are they. Look, Johansson's been such a major disappointment. So is Duchesne. Imagine somebody else with that kind of skill set, how great they'd be. Slatsy says Rangers Oilers should be a beauty. That is our live bet stream tonight. Our live bet stream, Rangers Oilers with razor sharp picks and Dabby Cab. I wish I could be there, but I really got to focus on the health right now. So I'll probably be in the chat. I'm going to try and be in the chat. Slatsy, Real Deal Prime, Cheshire Cat, the Squirrel Master. Oh, didn't I've got to hear that story. Chip Plyler says, Jimmy, come to your head. How many titles does Mahomes win? 5. 4. I hope he only wins 2. Markel North Ender. Yes, Razor, I'd love that. Text me those dates. I will for sure. And Nuclear says, love a day at the races, preferably Woodbine this season. I guarantee you that's going to happen. 100% that's going to happen. Talked to him about that with a bunch of different cappers. Eddie Euler, thank you. Had Wichita over. Wichita's now gone over 11 in a row. I love hearing that. Shogun saying Maryland, moneyline the under with my biggest plays. It was lovely. It was so easy. It was very, very, very easy, wasn't it? Very, very easy. I love it, Dan Kelly. Great work. Keep getting that cash. So Razor Sharp picks. A horseplay of the day is in. Dizzy Desmura over at Golden Gate Fields. When Razor gives a horseplay of the day here on the show, it's an automatic copy and paste. I love it. The Real TP crushed it yesterday in NCAA and NHL +9 units. I love it. Great work. Rem Most, I can't do very much physically right now. So, no, I did not exercise yesterday, but I promise you that hopefully will change, as I try to stay alive. Here, Blackwood starting for the Devils was a bonus. It was a great bonus. It was great. And I don't mean a live short term. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I mean, to live a long, healthy life full of capping. North End says Devils completely different team without Hughes. I watch the Devils just as much as the Habs Niles. I love that. Rangers +117 is my only edge in the NHL as of now, says Lee Davis. All right, let's get to work, you guys. We have a very, I was talking to Jose before the show. I'm like, some pain right now, and he's like, you'll get rolling and start feeling good. When I enjoyed capping NHL so much yesterday, and we were good. I added the Habs first period plus a half at minus 115, which took away some of the glory that last night would have been. Even with that, and it was 1-0 Habs. Till 6 minutes left in the first. I thought I was in business, but it was a good day. 3-2 plus 1.39 units, and I love this. I love this opportunity. I love these Fridays, the opportunity to work with Bobano. So let's get to work. Let's continue on the momentum that we're building. It was built last year, and it just kept going through the whole year. But it didn't start in January. Remember, it started probably in I don't know. It didn't feel like it started. It wasn't a January 1st thing. It felt like it was a February 1st to December 1st sort of a thing. But let's get it rolling now. Let's bring on your star of the show, I should say, not your first guest, the star of Fridays here at Betting with the Bag from Canada's Black and Yellow. Please welcome Ian Cameron to the show. Bobano, how are you?
What's going on here? You're dying on us, Jimmy? You're spitting the bit? Come on.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. Not yet. But
relax, people. You ain't going anywhere. Yeah.
Spitting the bit is a nice term, though. I like it. I like it. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to work with you here today.
Yes.
5 games in NHL, 18 games in NCAA basketball. All will be capped right here, Bobano. Let's get to work. We need to step up in NHL. Both of us, as superlative as your superlative NCAA basketball record. I have a decent one. We need to step up in NHL. So let's get to work right now. And we start 7 p.m. Eastern. Pittsburgh Penguins 27-17-9, 12-11-5 on the road at the New York Islanders, 27-23-7, 16-10-3 at home. We're at UBS Arena in Elmont, New York. This situationally, and I'm looking forward to talk about this. We'll get into the line history here, but situationally, I was like, God, what a horrible spot for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I know that they're a team that can handle adversity well. There's been a move back to the Penguins. The Islanders got to about minus 111 or minus 112, even minus 113, actually, on Pinnacle. They're back at minus 107. Heritage has them at minus 110. The market has them at minus 115. From a total standpoint here, they opened up at 6. Juice to the under, and it's now 5.5, like old times with these two teams. So the Penguins 5-2-3 in the past 10, 5 before the All-Star, 5 after, 28.1% power play, 71.4% penalty killing. New York 4-4-2, 18.5% power play, 80.8% penalty killing. I do not know who's going to be in net tonight. Tristan Jarry may be in net. First off, do you have because Jarry was on the IR for 7 games with lower body injury. He came back for 2 games, looked very good, stopped 67 of 70 shots, and then went back on the IR with an upper body injury. And he's a key piece to this puzzle. The Penguins are moving forward. Do you expect Tristan Jarry to be in net here tonight?
Well, they've been waiting for him. He was on the road trip with them in the West Coast, and they expected him to return at some point, and he just never did. It was Casey DeSmith in every game. So I'm done predicting when he's going to be back, and they've still got him listed on IR. So I don't know if it's going to be him. I've got to assume it's DeSmith again at this point.
Yes, but it's either a weak DeSmith or a rusty Jarry at this point.
Right.
But let's talk about the stretch. Post-All-Star stretch for the Penguins. They opened it up with that 2-1 overtime win against Colorado at home. And then they immediately fly to California across the continent for 3 games. The first one was against the Ducks. They win that 6-3. Then they get destroyed by the Kings 6-0, and then they beat the Sharks 3-1. Then they fly back. So they beat the Sharks 3-1 on Tuesday. They fly back. They don't, I'm sure they went back to their hotel rooms and slept. They wake up Wednesday. They fly back to Pittsburgh. They have to deal with life and bullshit and things. And then the very next day, they head to Long Island. So this is just awful. And they're playing an angry, very rested Islanders team. Islanders make the big trade for Horvat. They beat the Flyers 2-1. Then they beat the Kraken 4-0. All of a sudden, you look and you're like, man, these Islanders have won 4 straight. They could make a playoff push. The Canucks come in, Horvat's old team. The Canucks shock the Islanders 6-5 in regulation. Then the Islanders lose in overtime at Montreal, which is unacceptable. And then at home in a shootout against Ottawa. Ottawa's rolling right now. Now they need this hockey game. They need it so bad because tomorrow at 5 p.m. the puck drops at TD Garden in Boston, where they're 22-2-3 at home. They have to beat the Penguins here. This is the season on the line for the Islanders here tonight, and I backed them. And do I want a minus 115? Not really. Not really. So I took a -1 at plus 154. Money line minus 115. Puck line at plus 230. I did that last night. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Pittsburgh Penguins at New York Islanders.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm on the same wavelength. Islanders minus 105 at Bet Victor. We'll lock that in right now. Yeah, I think when you look at this spot here with the Islanders, it's definitely it certainly lines up nicely for them. There's no question. I mean, you're talking about a hockey team that needs a win. You're talking about a team that played well when they first got Bo Horvat. Now they've lost a couple in a row. The Montreal lost. The Vancouver lost. They were not good, and they were kind of flat. I think they kind of took Vancouver for granted. The Montreal game, they had a 3-2 lead late. Montreal tied it, and then they won in overtime on the giveaway in the neutral zone. Montreal plays well at home. Lately we know that. And then the Ottawa game, they should have won that game. They got Kevin Mandolese in that game. Kevin Mandolese in his NHL debut was just phenomenal for the Ottawa Senators. So it was it's not like they played awful. They could have beat Montreal, should have beat Montreal. They were up late in that game and couldn't hold the lead. And then the Ottawa game, it was just, this young kid got on an incredible run for them in that game. They had 48 shots. So, and Pittsburgh's in a tough spot. This is West Coast, and now you're flying all the way back east, and now you're playing a road game here tonight before you finally go home and host the Devils tomorrow, taking on New Jersey. So this little pit stop here for Pittsburgh definitely feels like it's an advantage for the Islanders. So I'm with you here. Islanders minus 105.
Minus 105. The best one I'm seeing is minus 107. But where is the minus 105?
Bet Victor.
Minus 105.
Now in Ontario, by the way.
Yes, they are. They are. Islanders minus 105 for Bobano. And I'm on the Islanders -1 at plus 154. Eddie Euler, like in Penguins, Islanders go to overtime. And Fat Wally says the Super Bowl of NASCAR Daytona 500 runs on Sunday. And these are Fat Wally's looks. Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson to win, and Jimmy Johnson plus 350 to finish top 10. Those of you may not know, but Fat Wally's nephew, Chaz, is a big stock car racing capper. Puts out videos, and I've checked out a couple of the videos. He does great stuff. So shout out to Wally, our guy, and his nephew Chaz, and good luck. I've copied and pasted that action. Wally, thank you for sharing that with us. All right, let's keep rolling. That is the Islanders spot. Next up for us, 8 p.m. My bad. 7 p.m. Eastern, Chicago Blackhawks, 16-32-5, 6-16-2 on the road. At Ottawa Senators, 26-24-3, 15-12-1 at home. Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa, Ontario. I'll say it over and over and over again. I do not believe that Jackson Stauber is going to just play spectacularly well in front of this horrible hockey team. And I expect him to start allowing goals like anybody would in front of this or behind this horrible hockey team. This is no Jackson Stauber showing a ton of character here, and this is no slight on him. I just do not believe that he will have a save percentage over 900 with the giveaways and the soft-ass offensive forwards they have that aren't accountable defensively in Chicago. Captain Sirius is probably it's possible we've seen him play his last hockey game. With Johnny Taves. So I would never say that about Taves. We know how accountable he can be, but he's probably gone. But the players on that team do not help him. And I do not expect that to continue. Now, Mads Søgaard on the other side, 6'7" goaltender. So he's been playing at Belleville all year. I messaged Gogster. I want to know what he thought of Søgaard. And he said that Søgaard is a
connection. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and he said he's slow. He's slow. He can be a statue back there, but he's decent. So when I was sitting there with Mads Søgaard, I could have bet the Senators at -1.5 at plus 105. But I didn't know what to do with Søgaard, and I just sat there for too long. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to cap this tomorrow. And then capping it, I had to bet the Senators on the puck line. Now, I got minus 105, not the plus 105 that was available. So it cost me a little bit of money. But let's talk about the line history here. There's been a big move towards Ottawa, which there should be. Over at Pinnacle, opening up at minus 225, now minus 274. Totals wise, it's opened up at 6.5 as a pick 'em. There's now a 5-cent move to the under. And the Blackhawks, who are 3-6-1 over their last 10, that's not bad. Their power play hitting at 4% over those 10 games. Their penalty killing 82.1%. Ottawa 7-3-0, 26.8% power play, 75% penalty killing. Blackhawks coming off their third straight loss, 5-2 at the Leafs on Wednesday. They've been outscored 13-3 over their past 3 games. They're just a horrible, horrible hockey team. They're an awful hockey team. Everything that's happened to this very proud franchise over the last 4 years or so has been horrible. It's been despicable. I guess this is the karma that they created for themselves, and now maybe they just lose and lose and lose. It sucks because they're an original 6 team and it's a big market and we want hockey to flourish, and it helps if the Blackhawks are flourishing. So they're coming in against the Senators off their second straight win, 6 in their last 7 games, 3-2 in a shootout at the Islanders. Senators are playing their best hockey of the season, and Senators fans are in absolute luck. Building your team around Brady Tkachuk and Tim Stützle is a gift. You guys are very fortunate that the Kings picked Quinton Byfield in the second overall. You're very fortunate. Stützle is better than Alexis Lafreniere. Stützle is an absolute diamond. 24 goals, 31 assists, 55 points in 49 games, and they're going to keep winning. Should you think? I think they're probably better off not really caring about the playoff spots, but they keep winning like this. We know Washington's going to fall out, so. Who's going to get it? Who's going to get it? I had to take the Senators here. What did you do here, Bobano? Take it away.
Not at this price. Not at this price. But I don't want Chicago either. So definitely not involved in the side here. I like the over, though. I think we're going to see goals tonight. I just think with 2 teams that are – and I think we need to admit now Ottawa isn't going to be a playoff team. They're not. They're not going to make the playoffs, Ottawa. So we got to consider this as 2 teams that aren't going anywhere. And usually when it's 2 teams like this playing each other, non-playoff teams, there's no interest in defense. There's no interest in shot blocking when you're teams that aren't going anywhere. Why the hell would you risk blocking a shot when you have no chance to make the playoffs? And I think you see that. You see that a lot, especially with Chicago. I mean, I saw that Toronto game the other night. I don't think anybody was getting in front of a shot, and blocking it. Why would you? Your team's going absolutely nowhere. And goaltending to me is very questionable on both sides. And it doesn't matter for Chicago. I mean, Stauber, he's been pretty solid, but, the AHL numbers would tell you it's not going to continue. We don't even know if it's going to be him. It could be Mrazek again. And we saw what happened against Toronto. He's not very good. He's having a horrible season. And it's not helping that the team's just terrible defensively in front of him. But neither goalie's been good. And I don't trust Mads Søgaard, really. I mean, his numbers down there, they're okay. They're not great. They say his movement in the crease is not great. You got to get him moving post to post. You can have some success. He does cover a lot of the net. He's a big guy, but his movement in the crease is not always the best. So, I think Chicago could probably score. Ottawa certainly should. Ottawa had gone 3 straight overs until the game against the Islanders, which only stayed under, I think, because of the heroics of the young kid, Mandolese. I'm actually surprised DJ Smith didn't roll back with Mandolese. I mean, what's he got to do to get 2 starts in a row? He played absolutely phenomenal in that game on the Tuesday against the Islanders. But nevertheless, he decided, I'm going to go with Søgaard here tonight. They only started Mandolese because it was a back-to-back, so I guess he figures, let's give Søgaard the chance. He's going to be the guy, with both Forsberg and, of course, Talbot still out due to injuries for Ottawa. So, over the total. Pretty just straightforward decision. I think we'll see goals, plenty of them.
Let's lock that in for you. And DJ Smith well. The Senators are...
Plus 102, by the way. Cool bet. Over 6.5, plus 102. Cool bet.
The Senators are going to battle here, I believe. They've won 6 of 7, so I do not see this as a spot where this is a Senators team that's just letting go, and they're just, DJ Smith is a fiery dude. You know that he's going to be pushing them. Everything's on the line with DJ Smith here from game to game because they're not. Look at the chances of them making the playoffs. Like, I don't have 538 or or whatever that, I forget what that site's called, but I would guess it's probably 3%, maybe 2%, 3% chance. But don't tell that to them. They've won 6 out of 7. So I still think that they're giving everything out there. Bobano is on the over 6.5, and I'm on the Senators -1.5. I'm stepping on the throat of the Chicago Blackhawks here. Earl says, does Ottawa trade for a goalie with Forsberg out for the season? No, you can't give anything up. There's no reason. You can't give anything up. So no, I don't. But it's a good. I don't know, Earl. But I doubt it. I doubt it. But let's move on. So for me, those are the 2 spots that I've bet on the NHL card, and But let's break down these other games.
There's also one more prop that I'm going to throw at you here.
Sure.
And actually, I bet him to score as well,
Sure.
plus a 1. Let's do both. Let's get adventurous here today because the props have really been nice for me. And I've really started hammering the props a lot more in the NHL the last week or so because football is winding down. You suddenly have a little bit more time at your disposal to look into these things. We're going to go with 2 Alex DeBrincat props here for the Ottawa Senators against his former team. I love these spots when they're playing their old team. You got an axe to grind. I'm going to go with him to score a goal tonight at plus 138 at Cool Bet. Looks like that's the best price. Plus 138, Alex DeBrincat, anytime goal score. And we're also going to lay some juice here, which I don't like doing often, but we're going to go at DraftKings here, over 2.5 shots on goal, -165, Alex DeBrincat. I think it makes all the sense in the world. He wants to prove a point. I don't think he was that thrilled they, just traded him away. Who would be? I think he thought that Chicago they were at least for a rebuilding team. They still needed a centerpiece of young talent, and I think he thought that was going to be him. And sure enough, they traded him away. I think he has an axe to grind, point to prove. You always get up to play your former team, especially when they traded you away. So we're going to go the Cat, Alex DeBrincat, goal score, over 2.5 shots on goal.
You got it. And I get it. I like it. DeBrincat, anytime goal, plus 138, over 2.5 shots, -165, along with his the over 6.5 in this game. All right, let's move on to 8 p.m. Eastern. Dallas Stars 30-14, 11-15, 8-4 on the road at Minnesota Wild, 28-21-5, 16-10-2 at home. Xcel Energy Center in St. Paul, Minnesota. Ottinger, and who do you expect to be in goal for the Minnesota Wild here?
That's a good question for the Wild. Let me just see here. It's Gustafsson. Yeah, it'll be Philip Gustafsson. I think it has to be Gustafsson.
I would put Gustafsson.
They just can't win with Fleury right now.
They can't.
It's unfortunate. We love the guy, but he's had a tough year. He has,
yeah. and it's it's the denouement of the career, and he should, he can. I would shut it down if I was him, and he'll be in the Hall of Fame as soon as he's available. But Ottinger on the other side, Gustafsson's been pretty good, but compared to Fleury, the much better goaltender. And the Stars, the much better hockey team, 30-14 and 11, 15-8-4 on the road. Minnesota Wild, 28-21-5, 16-10-2 at home. Dallas, 4-2-4 over their past 10, 9.4% power play, which is a surprise over that 10 games. With Robertson and Pavelski and Rupi Hintz. I know Hintz has been dealing with some injuries over the last few weeks, but you would just expect more from them with Heiskanen at the point. Minnesota 3-6-1, 28.1% power play, 89.7% penalty killing. Let's go into the line history here for this one. We have Dallas opening up at -105. They're now -106. So no movement there. From a total standpoint, opening up at 5.5, -109 to the under. Now -113 to the under. So no movement there. Turnsey, my man, he says the Wild suck, man. Your season preview is right on them. I want to get to the finish line first because I truly despise the Minnesota Wild, and I'll never forget them coming back from the 3-1 deficit against the Canucks. That's probably when my
I didn't know the hatred was so strong. Don't let our guy Terry Edelman know you feel that way.
No, Terry knows because Terry fought against me. Terry knows well. Terry was like, "You're making a mistake on the under 99.5." He's like,
"That's why he's not watching this show anymore. He knows you hate the Wild."
He sent me. He watches the show when the Wild are winning, but he sent me articles showing their.
He watches my Ice Guys show only when they're winning too. Yeah,
yeah. And but I just I have a rich history of despising
we like
Minnesota. So Stars come in here off their second straight loss, 3-2 in overtime at home against the league-leading Boston Bruins. Jason Robertson is on pace for a 100-point season, the first of many. What a phenomenal hockey player he is. Second Filipino hockey player in the NHL. Do you know the first Filipino hockey player in the NHL? Bobano?
Wow. I'm trying to think now. I'm blanking on it. No.
Tim Stapleton is the first.
Stapleton. Yeah, I know. I know Tim Stapleton. That's right. He probably, Filipino background.
That's his whole mom's side of his family over there. And Stapleton was a line mate of Pavelski in the 2012-2013 lockout with Dynamo Minsk. Now, Pavelski then, when the lockout ended, came back and played for the Sharks. Stapleton stayed over with Dynamo Minsk and led the team in scoring. Wild coming off their second straight loss, fifth in their last 6 games, 3-2 at home versus Colorado. One of those losses was a 4-1 setback at Dallas 9 days ago on February 8th. We've explained what's going on with Minnesota this year, and it's really about their lack of depth at center. Joel Eriksson Ek is playing even better than he played last year. He's such a complete hockey player. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Chandler Stevenson, not quite, but they have some similar qualities. And Ryan Hartman has completely fallen off. 1 goal and 1 assist in his last 9 games. Last year, he had 34 goals, 31 assists, 65 points, and played in every single hockey game. This year, he's played 32 games, 6 goals, and 10 assists. Who's going to replace Hartman's production down the middle? Nobody, and they don't have they actually have Guerin's done actually kind of a decent job with saving some salary cap room, even though they have the Suter, and Parise money, which will be $14 million. I think it's 12 this year, $14 million next year against the cap. But they're not doing anything. And Sam Steele and Connor Dewar are not replacing Hartman's production at all. Hartman's still playing a lot between Zuccarello and Kaprizov and doing squad ass zilch there. The Wild are in big trouble. And there's our guy.
There he is. His ears were burning. Yeah.
There he is, our guy, Terry Edelman. Great NHL
I feel bad
capper.
for him. I do. I mean, it sucks when your team is reeling, right? When you hate it. It's a bad feeling.
That, man. Yeah. I'm a fucking Canucks fan. Fuck, you think I have fucking compassion for this shit? I have fucking zero compassion. Hope the Wild fucking lose out, and they also know what it feels like to be a fan of a shit hockey team. Bobano, take it away. Stars Wild.
Terry, just to make Terry feel even better, I'm on Dallas here in this game against the Minnesota Wild. Like, I mean, I've been going against Minnesota every game now, pretty much since the All-Star break. I mean, it's a bad hockey team right now. Other than Zuccarello, Kaprizov, and Eriksson Ek, they're getting nothing offensively from anyone else on this team. Nothing other than those 3 guys right now. And you can't win with 3 guys. As good as those 3 players are, you just cannot win when those are the only 3 guys that are going for you right now. Continues to be an issue for the Minnesota Wild. So I like Dallas here, right around even money in this game. It's going to be Ottinger, I believe, for the Stars. And by the way, it's -106 at Pinnacle for the Dallas Stars in this game. And they've owned Minnesota. They've won both meetings this year, one in Dallas, one here in Minnesota earlier this season. And look, Dallas has lost 2 in a row. We don't want to make it sound like Minnesota is the only team in a funk right now. Dallas has lost 2, but look who they lost to, at home against Tampa Bay and Boston, so a pretty tough schedule for this Dallas Stars team. So I like Dallas here, -106. You know what I'm tempted to do too is add maybe potentially, because I think this is still pretty close, tight game. I'm tempted by the draw at plus, put the draw on my card as well at +316 at Pinnacle. The draw here in this game, I think it could go to overtime. I think there's 2. I think it's Dallas wins either in regulation or overtime or a shootout. The only thing that hurts me is Minnesota in regulation, and I honestly don't see that happening here in this game. So I like those 2 looks as far as this game is concerned. And then I do want to look. There is one. I just want to make sure the price is decent on this, but there is one player prop that I am interested in here, and the shots on goal. Let me see here. Little juicy, but I'll go with it. Joel Eriksson Ek over 2.5, -160 at Bet365. Joel Eriksson Ek over 2.5 shots on goal, -160. He's been firing the puck a lot. I think he had 4 shots on goal the last game. And look, he's been one of the few catalysts offensively lately. And even Terry will tell you that for the Minnesota Wild in recent games. He's gotten a point in 6 of the last 7 games. So if you point prop or even a goal prop on him is probably worth a look. But I think this over shots on goal bet is very strong, over 2.5. This is a great bet in my opinion. He's gone over 2.5 shots on goal in 6 of the last 7 games, and in those 6 games he had 6, 4, 5, 3, 4, and 6 shots on goal. So he's firing left and right. So I like that prop a lot.
I love Eric's neck. I had him in the hockey pool last year, and he does so many things well. Accountability, defensively, face-offs. I love him, but he wasn't scoring enough last year, and I didn't pick him this year, and he's been doing everything that I wanted him to do last year, this year. So the question is, and I think, I don't know the answer. Maybe Terry does. I'd love to. But basically what you're saying here by betting on Dallas is that the Wild don't have heart, because they just lost 4-1 at Dallas 9 days ago. And they're not going to show something. Like, I can't. That's why I can't. I don't know. I don't know what character they have. And I'm not going to say
they do, but when you're losing and you're struggling, it's hard to find the character. It's hard to find the heart. You're just getting kicked in the gut, game in and game out, and the losses are mounting, and you're getting booed off the ice, and it's a bad feeling. And that's a pressure. That's one of the pressure markets in the NHL. Minnesota, because it's the state of hockey. They love that hockey team there. And to me, Matt, it's just a situation where you start losing, and it takes away your heart. It takes away your spirit. It takes away your character in a market like that when things aren't going well, because you hear about it, you read about it. It's all over the place, and it becomes a tough environment to play and play well in.
Turnsey says, put it this way, Terry bet against his team for the first time in 2 years a little bit ago. So he says that says a lot.
Did.
Predictably
they won that game. Yeah.
I find it very difficult to cheer for Dallas.
I agree with Nick Earl. The under, I'd look on. It probably is low. So how do you bet Minnesota over the total right now? I mean, the offense is just absolutely dormant right now. They're 8-1 to the under in their last 9 games. I mean, since the All-Star break, they've scored 1. You might as well say they scored 2 against New Jersey, because they won in a shootout. That's how they got to 3, but they really only scored 2 goals. So they've scored 1, 2, 1, and 2 in the 4 games since the All-Star break.
Oh yeah, I mean, even in their last breakdown of the Wild game, they'd scored 7 goals in their last 5 games. I remember that distinctly. Okay, I'm going to stay off of it, though. I hate the loss 9 days ago, 4-1 loss. They played pretty well in that game against Dallas, too, but they just, couldn't tickle the twine. Let's move on to 9 p.m. Eastern. Next up for us, LA Kings, 30-18-7, 14-9-5 on the road to Anaheim Ducks, 17-32-6, 9-15-1. Mighty Minsk, Swiss Horton. I love it. I love capping with you, Swiss. I don't know enough about Mighty Minsk, but I know some. Phoenix Copley, 17-3-1. Imagine if this hockey team, the Kings, had goaltending and a good defenseman with a left-handed shot. I mean, we're talking, you win the Western Conference Championship. That's what we're talking. You'd be my favorite to win the West. I don't know about favorite, but you'd certainly come out of the Pacific if you had that. But they don't have that. And Rob Blake's doing nothing to fix it. And Copley, 17-3-1. 903 save percentage. I don't. Gibson on the other side, we're expecting 10-22-5, 4.05 goals against average, 897 save percentage, 1 shutout. Both teams 5-4-1 over their past 10. Kings power play 29%, penalty killing 84.4. The Ducks 11.5% power play, 83.9% penalty killing. Let's go into the line history here for this one. We have the Kings opening up at minus 226. They're now minus 270. That's absolutely nuts. Total wise, it's opened up at 6.5, minus 118 to the over. It's moved a cent towards the over. Kings coming off their second straight win, 5-2 at home over the Sabres on Monday. This is a very rested group. We talked about Pittsburgh going, playing the defending Stanley Cup champions in overtime, and then 3 games out west, and then they come back, east, and now they're playing again. The Kings have played 2 games since the All-Star break, both at home. They won 5-2 at home over the Sabres on Monday. They beat Pittsburgh 6-0 in the other one. This is such a deep, talented forward group. But there's holes in this lineup. The Ducks coming off their third straight loss, 7-3 at home to Buffalo on Wednesday. What a horrific year for the Ducks. Talk about building around Stutzla and Tkachuk. They're able to build around Zegras and McTavish. I'd rather build around Tkachuk and Stutzla. That's easy to say. But the Zegras and McTavish are very good hockey players. I think McTavish is going to be a monster. I think he's going to be much better than Zegras in my estimation. Take it away for us here. Oh, what does Daily Faceoff has? Mrazek is probable for Chicago today. I'd prefer Mrazek in there. We all would, right?
Multiple sites are reporting that too. Daily Faceoff, left wing lock. Both of them have Mrazek now probable, or likely.
I like it. Mike M. Kings first period. Ducks continue to blow it at home in the first. Take it away for us here. I've not moved on this game. Kings Ducks.
Yeah, speaking of overs, I like the over here, 6.5 in this one as well. Actually, the last couple games, I hope we see goals, and this is one of them here with the Kings and the Ducks. I think we'll see offense here. I mean, the LA Kings scoring goals in bunches right now. 4, 6, and 5 in their last 3 games. Power plays on fire. 5 power play goals in the last 3 games. Power play points. This is not a prop market enough people pay attention to. When you see games where a team that comes into the game in great form with the man advantage, then don't just bet your standard goal scorer prop and player and point props. Look at the power play points. You're going to get even better prices on those. So take advantage of those. And we know Anaheim for all season has had one of the worst penalty kills in the NHL, 28th in the NHL on the PK. So if you look at this matchup, you've got the 4th-ranked power play of LA and the 28th-ranked PK of Anaheim. I mean, it absolutely should be a great opportunity here for the LA Kings to find the back of the net. I do think Anaheim, though, could chip in some goals here in this game as well. Kings have dominated, by the way, 4 straight wins in Anaheim, 4 straight wins overall against the Anaheim Ducks. You know what? I think I might add the LA first period puck line as well because they've been slow starters. Mike M pointed that out in the chat that they've been slow starters here, the Kings. So and again, kind of like a few of these games with these bigger favorites, the first period puck line's the best value, to back some of these teams. Like you could go.
You nailed that last Friday when you fade the Ducks on the first period. You had the Penguins first period -0.5 at +125. They were up 3-1 at the end of 20.
And it's not like there's a look ahead for Arizona or for LA. I mean, LA plays tomorrow night, but it's against Arizona. So you actually look at it, they'll probably have Copley in net tonight, you would think, for this game. We'll have to wait and see on that. But regardless here, and we don't have confirmation who's in net for LA. Obviously, we'll have to wait on that. But this is the front end of a back-to-back. So, we could see, Quick potentially here in this game.
What's the easier game?
Yeah.
Which one is it? I don't know.
Which one is it? It's the big question. I mean, Copley certainly has been Copley had those the moments there on that road trip where he wasn't as good, but since they returned home from that trip, he shut out Pittsburgh and he only gave up 2 goals, 2 late goals, 2 garbage goals in garbage time against Buffalo. That was it. So he's bounced back pretty nicely here. So, I'm a little bit more leery of that Kings first period puck line if it's quick, but I still like the number enough, and I'm still going to make that official. I like that price. I like that number on that first period puck line, -0.5 +125 at Bet365, and definitely like this full game over 6.5 -120 at Pinnacle.
Oh, I had that at -119 at Pinnacle. Did that go up? I have that at -119. I wonder.
Even better.
But I'll grab it.
Better is good. Yep.
Yeah, every cent helps. Kings first period -0.5 +125 as well. I'm interested to see what the Kings do here. They looked so good in those first 2 games at home. I imagine they should look very good again here. I imagine, right? I don't know.
I mean, for Anaheim, this is you've been horrible defensively all year, so I don't expect you to be good. But this is even more embarrassing than normal. 6, 7, and 7 in the last 3 games. Kings could go over this total by themselves if they keep that up.
LG looking at the Kings 60-minute money line or regulation money line and the over 5.5 at +125. Do you think you kind of go over how would that lose? What's the situation?
I personally have more money on the over, by the way, in this game, but it doesn't work that way with the unit structure on this show. So we keep it all even. But I just want everyone to know there's more money personally for me on the over than the Kings puck line.
Yeah, I get it, LG. I get why you would make that move. Gerardo Hernandez saying Kings making a run. They can be a top 3 team in the West. Sure. Leo said it is on Rangers money line. Let's get into that. This is our live bet stream tonight.
I'll be on that, by the way. I'll be on that with Razor Sharp. I don't know what part of the game I'll be on yet, but I'll either be on early or late, maybe at the end, third period, but I'll be on at some point.
Oh, that's great news. Bobano will be joining the guys here. Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta. Rangers, Oilers. What a fun game this is going to be. Oh, man. This is going to be so much fun to watch. This is my dream Stanley Cup final. Obviously, I'd make a lot of money off of it. I can understand people thinking that this doesn't have a chance, but I like it. I don't need to wax on it. 32-14-8 are the Rangers, 16-5-4 on the road. Oilers 30-19-6, 13-11-4 at home. Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta. Shesterkin 24-8-7 is listed, 2.52 goals against average, 915 save percentage, 1 shutout. Is there a chance because they're in a tough trip over here? Is there a chance that Shesty's not starting here?
Yeah, they got Calgary tomorrow night. And if you remember when they played Calgary the first time at Madison Square Garden, that was a cantankerous, vicious, intense, physical, nasty game, bad feelings, ill will between the two teams. So maybe they save Shesterkin for that game. We'll have to wait and see, but he's projected as of right now. But I wouldn't lock that in and chisel that in stone just yet, that Shesterkin's going to be in net tonight. So hold off on that.
And it's crucial.
No.
Right. This is a crucial piece of the puzzle. And you're right with what happened against Calgary. Maybe you save Shesty for that one and give him an extra day off. So those of you who are moving on the Rangers, I just think this is such important information for everybody. So then you have Soupy Dumps, Jack Campbell, after 8 games, earning his way back with an opportunity to be the starter again. 8 games, allowing 3 goals or less. He looks awful, absolutely awful against the Red Wings. The Oilers outshot the Red Wings 45-23. 45-23. By the way, our man Jose is putting the Google document up for Pubapalooza 2. Yep. UFC sign-up ends Monday. Now, you don't have to sit with us. If you miss out on that, you can just come. We're obviously going to be able to drink beers throughout the night. But the Pubapalooza 2 sign-up sheet right there in UFC sign-ups end Monday. And I can't wait. I'm sitting here. It's snowing today. I'm just thinking about San Antonio in March with everybody. I'm just, just keep my head down, work, and then get a chance to have some fun. So I can't wait. But let's get back to this spot here. Rangers 8-1-1 over their past 10, 25% power play, 85.7% penalty killing. Edmonton 6-1-3, 30% power play, 76.7% penalty killing. Northander doesn't think Shesty will start. Rocco Rogers says Rangers love to literally confirm Shesty, then put Halak in. Said just letting everyone know they've done that twice this season. But I expect Stuart Skinner to be in net for the Oilers. Is that your expectation after what Soupy Dumps did against the Red Wings?
Yes, I think it'll be Skinner. Yeah.
So back to the spot, Rangers are just rolling. They're rolling. They've won 6 straight. They've scored 31 goals in those 6 games, but they're coming off an easy 6-4 victory at Vancouver. Are they going to be ready for Edmonton and Calgary, 2 teams that are fighting hard in a wide open Pacific? They're set up, the Rangers, to face the Devils in round 1 of the playoffs, a series that will be must-watch TV, a series that would just be so much fun. I mean, can we go back to Scott Stevens and Messier guaranteeing Game 7? I mean, can we go back to those times when hockey was so big in Jersey? I hope so. So Oilers coming off their second straight loss, 5-4 at home in a shootout versus Detroit. McDavid, 99 points, playing very well. And again, this is our live bet stream tonight. Tim Earl on Oilers puck line at +205 for Tim Earl. Ooh-wee. And how happy will Earl be when if Halak is announced now? So you'll be getting a much better line than would be then. Take it away for us, Bobano. I've not moved on this game. Rangers, Oilers.
Yeah, it's not a game I'm going to be involved with sidewise. I mean, I'm not stepping in front of the Rangers right now. They're playing great. They have a chance to sweep this road trip, I think, potentially, that's coming up for them here with Vancouver. They already beat Vancouver, but I think they could win both of these games, even Calgary tomorrow night on a back-to-back. I mean, Calgary can lose games at home against a team on a back-to-back. They proved that last night, losing to Detroit. So it's hard to have faith in them right now. I mean, this is definitely the Rangers could sweep this road trip. But at the same time, Edmonton off the setback against Detroit. We do see Edmonton sometimes when they're at home against the good teams, they can rise up. I remember they beat Tampa Bay 5-3 at home not too long ago. So I think this opponent gets the best out of the Edmonton Oilers tonight. I truly do believe that. So, but I'm not stepping in front of the Rangers. No way. I mean, they're playing great. The offense is on a roll. During the 6-game win streak, they've scored 4, 5, 4, 6, 6, and 6. 6 goals in 3 straight games. Now, look, there's going to be regression. You know, you're not going to be able to keep scoring at this clip all season the rest of the way. There's no doubt. But right now they've got it rolling. It's not like Edmonton's playing the type of team defense right now to shut you down. I mean, they've given up 3+ goals in the last 3 games. They've given up a grand total of 14 goals in the last 3 games going into this one. I mean, the Rangers are an over machine. I've been betting Rangers overs lately because of this newfound offense and really just the adding Tarasenko and what it's done for this offense. It just gives you more depth in your lineup. And for Gerard Gallant, more depth in his forward group, as far as I'm concerned. You now have a legit 3 lines that can all score and do damage. They go 9 deep, at least 9 deep, in terms of players that can find the back of the net and score for you. There's no question about that, and you are seeing that right now on full display. In terms of a prop here for this game, I'm just going to see what the price is, make sure it's not too expensive. Let's go with Vladimir Tarasenko point in this game for the New York Rangers. We'll make that a player prop. I think in a game like this, you get a good game out of him. It's only -108 at FanDuel. Only -108 at FanDuel. Vladimir Tarasenko to get a point tonight for the New York Rangers. I think games like this bring out good play from him, and I think you're going to see that here. And look, he's gotten a point for the New York Rangers so far if you look down his recent games, he got a point against Carolina. He got a point against Seattle. Of course, that was in his New York Rangers. Actually, was before that, I believe, in his. I'm looking at Lafreniere. Damn it, wrong person. Let me just make sure we get the right person here on the screen before we give you the accurate results here. While I'm getting that up, I'm going to mention that I'm on the over as well in this game. Now it's juicy. I will admit that in this one, but it's hard not to look at goals or the over in this game. You've got Edmonton trending over. The Rangers have gone over. And do you see what the score was the last 2 times these teams played each other here in Edmonton? One of those games was that game where Connor McDavid had that highlight reel goal against this Rangers team. I mean, the last 2 meetings here in Edmonton, 7-5 and 6-5 were the final scores. I mean, it was shootouts, pond hockey, and the way these 2 teams are lighting it up right now, I think we get more of the same here tonight. So again, it's juicy. It's over 6.5. It's -1. Let me just bring up. There's only a couple 6.5s left right now, but over 6.5 -145 right now at WinBet and at the Score Bet. So that looks like the best you can do if you like the 6.5 here, which I do. Make sure you get that 6.5 if you like the over. That's critical. You don't want 7. You want 6.5. So over 6.5 -145. Vladimir Tarasenko to get a point. -108. And yes, here are the numbers on Tarasenko. He got a point against Vancouver, and he scored his first goal as a Ranger against Seattle. He didn't have a point against Carolina, but I think he gets on the score sheet here tonight against the Edmonton Oilers. So that's what we're going with. Over 6.5, -145. Tarasenko to get a point, -108.
I like it. Interesting. It adds a lot of fun to the game that everybody will be joining us with. Tyrone Coleman, I want to make an important point here because Tyrone's watched me for a long time, so he knows how much I love being 3 defensemen out. They're not really 3 defensemen out. Clefbaum's been out all year. Ryan Murray's been out for most of the year. So it's Desharnais who's sick and could be in. So really, if Desharnais is not sick, then they're really missing 0 defensemen because of the other guys. So and that's so important. So it's an important note that you're making, Tyrone. Because when these defensemen have been out all year, I mean, they figured out how to move on at this point very comfortably. But important, very important to talk about, Tyrone. So respect there. So Tarasenko point and Bobano on the over 6.5 -145. Let's review all NHL action before we get into this giant 18-game NCAA basketball card. I guess I didn't go over I think I went over everything pretty much that went down yesterday, but it was a good day. 3-2 in NHL. Panthers -1 plus 139 was the difference maker because I did add the Canadians first period minus a half. We cashed with Florida, with the Panthers, -1. We pushed with the Capitals team total under 3, lost the Florida Washington under 6.5, cashed very easily Bruins -1, and then cashed the Blues plus 130. But let's go review all NHL action. I'm on the Islanders -1 at plus 154. We'll see if look, I didn't have to take the Panthers on the -1 line yesterday. I could have taken them -120 or something like that, but I prefer having a nice big score available for me, and I don't mind the push if I don't get it. Bobano's on the Islanders -105. If I could have had the Islanders -105, I'd probably take it. That's low enough vig. It was not available to me at that price. It was available to me at -115. Bobano's on the over 6.5 at plus 102 in Chicago, Ottawa. The Brinkat anytime goal plus 138 and over 2.5 shots -165. And I'm just enamored with Stutzla and Brady Tkachuk. So I love watching them play. And if
you know what, Jamie, now that you think of it, because I'm going to be kicking myself if this, because I'm going to look at this too as a shots on goal prop. I have to bet this too because of the numbers. What is it? 5 of the last 6 he's gone over this number. I don't think the juice is that bad on it. There's another shots on goal prop for that Ottawa game from the Ottawa Senators as well. And you just mentioned him. It's Timmy Stützle over 2.5 -132 at the score bet. Over 2.5 -132 at the score bet. Tim Stützle over shots on goal. Like Ottawa's going to pepper whoever's in net for Chicago. Chicago just gives up a lot of shots. So I think in this spot, and Stützle's been great. So that's a good shots prop too. Put that on the card.
You got it. Over 2.5 shots -130. He's a phenomenal hockey player. I mean, if he's North American born, he's going to be picked over Quinton Byfield. No. Maybe Alexi Lafreniere was going to go first overall. Maybe there was no way around that, and that's very possible. But he certainly would have been picked over Byfield if he was North American. He's been phenomenal. Then, and I'm on the Senators -1.5. I think they're playing hard hockey right now. Bobano's on the Stars -106, a draw in Dallas, Minnesota plus 316, and Eriksson Ek over 2.5 shots at -160. He's on over 6.5 at -119 in Kings Ducks. Kings first period -0.5 at plus 125. He's on Tarasenko to get a point in the Rangers Oilers game at -108 and over 6.5 at -145. And Woo Rizza saying, what sportsbook do y'all use to get these smaller conferences in college basketball? I'm shocked
Most
to hear
books should have them.
The sports book that doesn't have them. Just make sure that you go to now here on a Friday, they're all going to be over. But for some of these smaller schools, you just have to go to NCAA extra games. That's all. But every sports book will have them. And let's move into college basketball. What a roller coaster. It's fun tracking your action, Bobano. Very, very fun because you have such high volume. And what a wild day you had last Friday. 8-8. You went last Friday.
I knew it was right around 500. Yeah.
Yeah. You lost a little bit of vig, but you're having a great season with us. 64 and 50, 56.1% plus 8.91 units. ROI plus 7.82%. Average line -111. You guys are my two favorite guys battling each other right now. Turnsey and Racer. You guys are my two favorite guys. You take it to the screen. It'll be much funnier when we can watch your faces tonight for Oilers.
Right? Yeah, get on the betcast. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so in college basketball, yesterday was the first day I woke up in the red all year, and hopefully the last. We had a big day yesterday in college basketball. Maryland +1 was so easy. Purdue, Maryland under 132.5 gift. Middle Tennessee first half. Probably should have taken them full game because they were down a point at half, and I had a +2.5, so I cashed, but that was just a gift. Radford was a mistake. CMAC was not comfortable with my move on Radford, and I wish I had listened because it could have been a bigger day. Memphis first half. I love that bet so much. They covered it very easily and don't cover the full game. I love that.
Which is great because I had UCF full game, so both of us were happy with that.
I love that. I love it. BYU was a mistake. There are going to be mistakes. It was a mistake.
By the way, we nailed the hell. We had a dual best bet, Connor Mack and yours truly, on the net profit yesterday, and we nailed it perfectly. Wichita and Temple over the total. And it was just, Wichita's just bet the over and cash a ticket right now with that team.
Beautiful. That was great. It was great. But the Arizona smash and grab, late night smash and grab after they lost to Utah in Utah and they're coming off of a loss. I literally like, it doesn't always work out like that. But these were like plays we were adamant about.
No.
We were adamant about Maryland beating Purdue and Purdue doing the same thing that Connecticut did when they first had their four-in conference. These are tough games right now. And Purdue's a really good team, but they're not the best. And it was just excellent work yesterday. I want excellent work today.
Iowa, I don't bet Iowa much. I bet Iowa yesterday because Ohio State is that bad. They're an absolute fade right now.
That was a gift that I didn't accept for whatever reason. That was a definite gift. That line was not big enough, and that was just a smash and grab. So, all right. So it was a 6-2 day yesterday, plus 3.8 units. So for me, I had one day in the red. Let's never go back to that horrific place again. I'm 188, 53.2%, plus 3.1 units. ROI plus 1.65%. Average line minus 110. Let's continue to climb. Let's get back to double digits. Remember, we peaked our head over 20 units, and then I started falling off. So let's get right back there. Let's get to work, Bobano. 18 games, and that's it for the rest of the show. So let's get to work. Let me get this up.
It's going to be a hell of a tournament next month because there's nobody in college basketball, even Houston. Now Houston's the team everyone says looks like the best team. And you could even poke holes in that team because their offense goes into spurts. Their defense at times hasn't been that Houston defense we've seen in the past. And they play in a conference that's watered down this year. I don't think the AAC is great this year. So they've got flaws. Purdue's got flaws. Texas has flaws. Kansas has flaws. Baylor has flaws. All of these teams that are near the top, they're not perfect teams. There's holes in every single team, and there's no dominant, clear-cut favorite to take down the national title right now. There isn't. It's wide open.
I love it. And
Bama's got flaws. You go, keep on going. Yep.
Sweet 16, Elite 8, you know where we'll be. Yep. Southtown 101, boozing heavily and betting. I can't wait.
UCLA has flaws. They almost lost last night.
Oh, yeah, they certainly do. Pubapalooza, Sweet 16, Elite 8. We're all going to be hanging out together, betting these games. Join us at the Southtown 101, the headquarters of Pub Sports Radio. Let's get to work. We start at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we start with Ivy League action. Dartmouth, Big Green, 9-15, 5-5 in conference at Cornell. Big Red, 15-8, 5-5 in conference. We're in Newman Arena, Ithaca, New York. Let's get to the line history here. This opened up. Let's move over to Bet Online. So this opened up Dartmouth plus 11. They're now plus 9.5. Pinnacle has them at 10. And Pinnacle did have them at 9.5. Now they have them at 10. This total opened up at 154.5 and is now at 155.5. We have 4,152 tickets in. And the two teams with the highest line value, according to Sports Insights, Dartmouth, Big Green, and the Oakland Grizzlies. Those are the two teams that they've given. I came so close to betting Oakland, and I held off of it. We'll talk about that. But 4,152 tickets in here. 30% of the tickets on Dartmouth, 62% of the cash. Then 79% of the tickets and 73% of the cash on the under. And Ron Crawford, spreadsheet play of the day is in. It is Ottawa in regulation. Ottawa in regulation for our Ron Crawford. Let's get that right here. Ottawa in regulation. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that for us. And let's go. BJ says Hammer Wyoming at -4. I almost made that bet too. But we have the opportunity to talk all these out right now. And this is a great 18-game card. Not overwhelming and perfect for us to attack. Dartmouth comes in off snapping their 2-game losing streak with an impressive 83-76 win at home over conference-leading Princeton as 7.5-point dogs on Saturday. And that's why I can't bet them. You have I would say it's got to be almost a season-defining performance. Cornell comes in off their third straight loss, 80-66 at Brown as 2-point favorites on Saturday. They played horrible, absolutely awful. They shot 37.9% from the field, 21.4% from three. They turned the ball over 18 times. So you're going to have Dartmouth coming off a high, Cornell coming off their lowest low this year. The bottom that they've been all year. Cornell won at Dartmouth 74-63 back on January 1st. You put it all together, and I ended up not. Before hearing Bobano's analysis, I guess I would lean towards taking the 10 points with Dartmouth. but you're poking Big Red now, and what are they going to do? They're going to come up firing. Take it away, Bobano, for us. Dartmouth, Cornell.
Yeah, I'm probably going to pass this game. I mean, I don't trust Dartmouth here in the matchup. Cornell has owned this team the last two of the last three. Actually, Dartmouth won at home last year, but here at Cornell, 79-71 last year, and earlier this year, Cornell won by 11. Dartmouth, they have covered lately. They've been better in terms of being competitive here, and they had a shocking win against Princeton in their last home game, but don't know if I necessarily trust them here. They have been better, on the road, so I understand the reasons for liking Dartmouth here with the points, but Cornell is lost 3 in a row straight up in ATS. They've certainly had issues on the defensive end here in this game. Let me just see if there is what I might consider here in this game, and I'll see what see if I can find it anywhere. Let me just see here. I can find it here. Let me just bring this up here. I think actually I might make this official because I feel a little bit better about doing it this way rather than the point spread here is. Here we go. All right, perfect. Here we go. Excellent. Dartmouth team total over 72.5 minus 110 at Pinnacle. That's what I like. I think they can get to 73 plus. In this game, because you actually look at it, that was a very impressive 83-point performance against Princeton. You look at what Cornell has allowed to their opponents in 4 of the last 5 games, or actually go back further. Go back to the Princeton game January 7th. Here's what Cornell's allowed: 75, 82, 85, 95, 73 to Brown, 89, 92, 80. So that is actually 8 straight games Cornell has allowed more than this team total to their opponents. So I like that bet. I'm going to lock that in. Dartmouth team total over 72.5 minus 110.
You got it. Dartmouth team total. So we do have some action here. This is just conflicting angles for me that I expect to have enough action here today. So let's move over to the MAC, and then we'll come back to the Ivy. These games pop off an hour earlier than the rest. So 6 p.m. Eastern Michigan Eagles, 6-20, 3-10 in conference at Kent State Golden Flashes, 21-5, 11-2 in conference. We're in Kent, Ohio at the MAC Center. And Bobano and I have had a good read on Eastern Michigan thus far this year. Eastern Michigan opening up at plus 17. They're now plus 17.5. Totals wise, it's opened up at 147. That's exactly where it is right now. Cash wise, here we have. I don't know why I wouldn't be able to find it here. What's wrong with me? Okay, there's 18 games. What the hell's wrong with me? Okay, I can't. Must not be here. Okay,
it's in the write-in games. They put it as a write-in game. That's why it's not on the main board. It's not on the added board. Yep.
Yeah, no, but I would still think that we'd get the line history here. But you're right, it's not here. Okay, but let's break it down. Eastern Michigan comes in off their 4th straight loss, 78-51 at home versus Akron on Tuesday as 9.5-point dogs. They were pitiful, 1 of 15 from 3. Yeah. Kent State has followed up at 67-55 loss at Akron by winning 3 straight very comfortably. They were last seen in an impressive 82-58 victory at Western Michigan as 11-point favorites. They were up 50-23 at the half, and they beat Eastern Michigan at Eastern Michigan 77-63 as 14-point favorites back on January 17th. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Eastern Michigan Eagles, Kent State Golden Flashes.
So I've been riding Eastern Michigan. They finally failed to cover in their last game, and I'm a little reluctant to get back on them today because Kent State's just owned them. 77-63 at Eastern Michigan earlier this year. Kent's covered 3 straight against EMU, 90-71 when they hosted Eastern Michigan last year. It's still a pretty horrendous defensive team that Eastern Michigan has, but their offense has been really playing good until the last 2 games against Toledo and Akron, and they've gone back downhill. Kent State plays at Ball State and Bowling Green after this, so there's not really a huge look ahead. So that for a Friday night home game, they should be all in for this game, and we have seen at home they beat down Bowling Green 87-64. They beat down Central Michigan 81-69. If we can get some offense out of Eastern Michigan here, the over might be in play. It's 147.5 here in this game. I'm tempted to make. I will make that official over 146.5 here with Eastern Michigan and Akron. I think we can see enough points because I think you're going to get 80s clearly from this Kent State team here tonight. And we look at some of these home games where they've played a team that's massively inferior to them. We've seen them run up the score. We've seen the games go over the total. So I'm going to go with that. Over 146.5, minus 110 at Bet365.
You got it over 146.5 at minus 110. That's the last 146.5 on the board. Interesting. Over 146.5 at minus 110 for you. You are locked in. I don't. After Kent State looked, dominate Western Michigan, I mean, sure, they're likely to dominate here, but it's just not quite the angle that I really want to move on. There's Luke Murphy, esteemed author Luke Murphy in the house.
Yes, there he is. Good. He always asks me questions every now and then in my DM. What do you like here? He usually asks me when it's an early game. I think he wants to get the early game, just to get a bet in on an early game. But I often don't have good opinions on those games.
I love it. I love it. Great guy, great esteemed author joining us right now.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the next spot. We head back to the Ivy League for this one. And this is the big one. Yale Bulldog. Well, there's a couple, but Yale Bulldogs 17-6, 7-3 in conference at Pennsylvania Quakers 14-11, 6-4 in conference. Move over to the line history on this one here. We have get over to Bet Online. We have Yale opening up at minus 3.5. Now I've screwed this up. I bet Pennsylvania when I thought the market was moving towards Pennsylvania, and I screwed it up. I have Penn at plus 2.5. It's at 3 right now. I could have got 3.5 this morning, and that was not at 7 in the morning. At 7 in the morning, it was still 2.5. We're talking at like 9 in the morning, and I was very angry when I saw that. Very angry. Let's go over to the cash flow in this one. Pennsylvania has been given no line value on this one. 2,420 tickets in. 31% of the tickets are on Pennsylvania and 50% of the cash. I love that. That's a great place to be in. 79% of tickets and 98% of cash are on the under. 79 and 98. And this total has gone from 144.5 down to 142.5. Yale comes in off its 6th straight win, 99-68 at home over Columbia on Saturday as 19.5-point favorites. They've been dominating their opposition. So they destroy the weakling in the conference, Columbia. They've won their last 4 by an average of 21.3 points per game. They're now tied atop the conference with Princeton at 7-3. That was what was wild about Princeton losing to Dartmouth, was Princeton had a chance to, keep that 1-game lead in the conference. So 1 game back is Pennsylvania at 6-4. Pennsylvania comes in off their 5th straight win, 80-72 at Harvard on Saturday's 1.5-point dogs. This 5-game winning streak started after a hard-fought 70-63 loss at Yale. And that game was touch and go. That was down to the wire. A couple foul shots made it a 7-point game, but it was right, it was 66, something like it was very, very close. I know it was 54-53, like it was very, very close. And then, Yale pulls away late. And I don't like that this moved to 3 and 3.5. But I do like the breakdown of the cash, and I have this is not a buy-off spot. I just feel like a bit of a schmuck knowing that I could have got 3.5 or at least a 3, and I got a 2.5. But I'm on Penn. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Ivy League action, Yale, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bold move going against Yale right now. They're on a roll. Absolutely phenomenal, but so is Penn. Penn's playing well, so this is a really interesting game. Penn's won 5 in a row, so don't sleep on that. 3 of those were at home against Harvard, Columbia, and Cornell as well. Scoring a bunch of points at home, 83, 74, 92 in their last 3 home games. Of course, the best team they played other than Yale at home was Princeton, and they only scored 60, and they lost 72-60 in that game, Penn. So I'm off the game. I mean, I kind of want to take Penn team total over, but I don't trust them enough, and I don't want to step in front of Yale, so it's a pass.
A pass over there. Do you agree with this market move towards the under?
When Yale's locked in defense, Yale's not going to push pace. Penn's not going to either, but they can be very, very efficient offensively. And so I look at the series history too, and we've seen mostly unders 76, 68, 67, 61 earlier this year. They only got to 133 between these two teams. So the under is cashed actually 7 of the last 9 head-to-head meetings. So, yeah, I understand it. I understand why there might be some love to the under.
Is anybody in the chat moving on the total in this game? I would like to, but Yale coming off almost scoring 100 points against a weakling, and then Penn putting up 80 at Harvard. This is not a that high of a total. W. Arthur liking the under. I'd love to hear from you guys if anybody else is moving on the under. All right, let's move on, but I am on Penn. I've made 2 bets in college basketball to start off the day, and frustrating. And I'm going to be I'm tracking this very closely because this is the second Friday morning radio show I've done here in Toronto where there is no football. And I moved on spots in the Ivy League, and I moved on spots before I was fully aware of the where the markets were. And 2 weeks ago, it didn't go well for me. And so I'm going to stop doing it if it's not going to be financially rewarding. So I'm keeping a very close eye. And I'll tell you guys, just so you guys know the spots, I moved on Pennsylvania and San Jose State. And I'm very, very interested in it because if it's not working, I'm just not, I'm going to cut it immediately. Okay, let's move on to the next spot. We stay in the Ivy, but some great stuff here from the chat. Yale dropped their last five at the Palestra here in Pennsylvania, that creaky old building. Let's move on. 7 p.m. Eastern. Harvard Crimson, 12-12, 3-7 in the Ivy, and their season is over. Because the top 4 make the conference tournament, and that's right, right? Bobano, the top 4 make the conference tournament, and Harvard's now not going to get there. So their season's over. They're at the Columbia Lions, 6-19, 1-9 in conference. I'm very curious to see what Harvard does here now that their season's kind of over. Are they going to keep battling? It's very, very. This is going to be very interesting. If Harvard lays an egg here, they're going to be laying eggs for the rest of the year. So I'm very interested to see what they do. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Opening up at -8.5. Harvard's now -10.5. Total-wise, it's opened up at 133.5, and it's up to 138. So huge movement here. Troy Torrance leaning towards Columbia.
Yeah.
And Lee Davis, which under are you very interested in? Is it this one that we're talking about right now, the Harvard Columbia under? Mike M says Harvard 0-18 against the spread as favorites of less than 12.5 points versus a conference team if they have rest and given up less than 86 points the game before. Wow. And Andrew Carr says top 4 in. Tourney will be played at Princeton. And here, this is the under he's looking at. So, wow, because it's gone up from 133.5 to 138. Wow. Okay, let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. Harvard, Columbia. Harvard has been given line value, 2,496 tickets in, but the big bets are coming in on Columbia. 18% of the tickets and 68% of the cash. But there's been a 2-point move towards Harvard, so very confusing. 45% of the tickets, 51% cash on the under, but it's gone up 4.5 points. Harvard comes in off its 4th straight loss, 80-72 at home to Pennsylvania as 1.5-point favorites. This is a frustrated group. That's 3 straight home losses for Harvard. Columbia comes in off their 9th straight loss, an ugly 99-68 loss at Yale on Saturday's 19.5-point dogs. But, and this is fascinating, they've played 5 straight road games, and they've looked awful. All losses by at least 9 points, and they lost badly at Harvard on January 14th when Harvard still had a pulse, 73-51. I'm looking forward to hear your breakdown. Take it away, Bobano. Crimson, Lions.
Yeah, the Columbia is so bad that I'm taking Columbia plus 10.5, -105, and the over. I like the over here, 137, over 137, -110 at Sports Interaction, and we're going to go with over plus 10.5, -105 for Columbia at Pinnacle. I just don't think Harvard should be laying double digits on the road in their state. I mean, they've lost 4 in a row. Now, granted, Yale and Penn are decent teams, but Brown and Penn were dreadful losses. Brown loss in particular wasn't good. They're not playing with confidence. You mentioned it. They're out of the conference tournament race. And I think Columbia brings something here. Like, they've been on the road forever. They haven't played a home game in a month. That's crazy. That's insane. How does the Ivy League allow this to happen? That they've gone 1 full month without playing a home game. And I think that's something that you want to pay attention to. I think that brings something. If you actually look at series history, Yeah, Harvard's won 5 straight, or actually 8 straight against Columbia. But you look at the meetings in Columbia, Jimmy, the 3 games in Columbia since 2019 during that span, a 2-point overtime win for Harvard, an 8-point win for Harvard, and a 9-point win for Harvard in those 3 games. All single-digit victories for Harvard at Columbia, the last 3 trips they've made here to this gym. And now you're going to ask a team with very little at stake the rest of this regular season to lay doubles. I get it, Columbia's bad. I get it, it's kind of a hold-your-nose special, but we're taking the Lions here, plus 10.5, minus 105, and over the total.
You got it. And Pinnacle's moved that to 139. So Bobano taking advantage of book that's reacting late. I know that there's Lee Davis is waiting to see if it gets to 139. It's going to get there. If Pinnacle's there, it's going to get there. I would expect it to. So there you go. Bobano on the over 137 and minus 110.
I don't trust Harvard to bring it defensively. That's part of the reason why I like the over. And obviously, Columbia hasn't brought anything defensively all year. So to me, this total looks low.
I like it. I like it. I'll be following along with your action, but I'm going to stay off of this game. I'm very curious to see, how I don't know. I'm legitimately sitting here questioning exactly what is going to come. Like I have no idea what Harvard brings now. Losing 3 straight at home. Are they just going to mail it in? I kind of lean towards that, but the fact that the lines move towards them has me very hesitant. Let's move on.
As you know, that's the opposite of me. That doesn't bother me one bit, those things. But
yeah, but I mean, no, it doesn't. It's not that it bothers you, but you like it, right? You care about it. You get 2 points. Would you have moved at 8.5?
No, I thank the betting markets for doing this. Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's obviously that is important to all of us where the line is going, but you don't care about where the bigger bets or where the perceived.
I guess there's people that think Columbia has been god awful. Like, we can't sugarcoat it. They've been horrendous, and they could lose this by 15 or 20. It totally wouldn't shock me. But I mean, what's Harvard got in their tank to want to lay 10 or win this game by big margin or have the focus and the intensity and the want to, with the way their season's just falling apart right now? I don't see it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely hear you. My hockey coach, God, how old was that? Maybe 12 years old. Harry Story was a cop, and he would always say, "You gotta wanna." He would yell at us all game long.
And I don't think they're going to want to necessarily have it tonight. We'll see.
Let's move on to our next spot on the board, and that is Brown Bears, 13-10, 6-4 in conference at Princeton. Tigers, 16-7, 7-3 in conference. We're at Jadwin Gymnasium in Princeton, New Jersey. Brown opening up at +7. They got down to 6. They're now at 6.5. Totals wise, it's opened up at 143. It's now at 144. Take a look at where the cash lies in this one. We have a slight line value on Brown. Slight, 5%. 2,190 tickets in, 56% of the tickets on Brown, and 66% of the cash. Then 84% of the tickets and 88% of cash on the over. It's only gone up a point, and it actually had dropped down to 142.5. So that is interesting. Brown playing their best ball of the year. We talked about that win at home against Cornell. Very impressive, 80-66. They've won 3 straight. They won at Dartmouth, 73-61, at Harvard, 68-65, and then beat up on Cornell at home. Princeton is off that shocking loss at Dartmouth, and it came after they beat up on Columbia. And I'm very curious to see if Yale can follow that similar pattern. You beat up on a cupcake, and then you have a more difficult situation, and you just don't handle it well. I'm interested. Princeton, who lost badly at Yale, we're talking 87-65, is tied amongst the top of the Ivy League with Yale. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Brown, Princeton.
Let me just see here, because I think this is going to be another. I just want to confirm a couple of things here. I'm going to be probably doubling up here in this game as well. Over in this one with Brown and Princeton, and I like Brown. I'm riding the hot hand with the Brown Bears here, plus 6.5 in this game. And I've cashed with Brown a lot lately, and I'm riding this hot streak that they're on. What can Brown do for you? Put some money in your pocket, cash some tickets, cover some point spreads. And I think they will tonight. Plus 6.5, minus 106 at Proline Plus on Brown. So that's Brown plus 6.5, minus 106, Proline Plus, and over is 140. Let's go 142.5, minus 120 at the score bet. So over 142.5, minus 120 at the score bet with the total. We'll go with that. Brown is rolling right now. I like the way they're playing basketball at this point in time. Both ends of the floor. Offense good. Defense has picked it up. Defense will be challenged, though, by Princeton. Princeton is one of the better offensive teams in the Ivy League. Brown's going to push the pace. Princeton going to want to try to slow it down a lot. But I think the shocking thing about Princeton here in their recent games is the defense falling apart. They've been awful all of a sudden. They give up 90 to Dartmouth, 83 in the rematch to Dartmouth. 87 to Yale, 82 to Cornell. They've had some really rough defensive showings, and that's a reason why they've gone 5 straight games of theirs have gone over the total. Princeton's got Yale. Yep. Huge game coming up. Excellent point, Andrew Carr, in the chat. That's a big game coming up. Brown's rolling. I think it sets up well. I think we see enough points for the over, and I like Brown here, plus 6.5. I think it's a competitive game.
I would expect a competitive game as well, but I'm just a little hesitant after the debacle for Princeton at Dartmouth. And it's just not an angle that I want to fade a team, but I can completely understand supporting Brown here. Completely understand. All right. So Bobano moving on. Brown plus 6.5, minus 106, and the over 142.5 and minus 120. Nate Cerna says bought plus 2, the Canisius Golden Griffins. Let's move on to that spot right now. Canisius Golden Griffins 6-18, 4-11 in the Metro Atlantic. At Ryder Bronx 14-9, 11-3 at the Metro Atlantic. I am working on getting an album produced when we are in San Antonio, starring Pistol Pete Loshak. Get him in the booth, and the first song is a Ryder -4 from Riders from the Doors, Songwriters of the Storm. So we are working. I'm working on that. Hopefully, we're going to be able to start producing a couple songs from the legendary Pistol Pete Loshak, and this will be one of them. Ryder Bronx at home, 11-3 in the Metro Atlantic. We're at Alumni Gymnasium in Lawrenceville, New Jersey. Let's move over to the line history here for this one. Take a look at the cash flow, set the table, and then see what moves will be made. First off, line movement-wise, at Pinnacle, this opened up with Ryder minus 7.5. They're now minus 6.5. Over at Bet Online, this opened up with Ryder minus 7, and they're minus 6.5. Totals-wise, this opened up at 141, dropped a half point to 140.5. Let's take a look at the cash flow here. Canisius Ryder. We have, where are we here? We have 2,394 tickets in, and all the money's coming in on Canisius. 50% of the tickets and 93% of the cash. 50 and 93. Wow. And it's just moved a half point. And it didn't move a half point till 9:30 in the morning. This opened up yesterday at 1:10 p.m. If all these tickets were coming in on Canisius, all the money coming in on Canisius, you think it'd move more than a half point. Interesting. Total-wise, we have 73% of tickets on the over, and that's it. That's all we have here. I have – interesting. I screwed this up with my breakdown. I have the Brown-Princeton breakdown here under Canisius. So let me just pull up the situation here. Canisius snapped their losing streak with an 85-65. How did I screw that up? Did I do that? I don't know how I did that. But with an 85-65 win at home over Quinnipiac, dominated Quinnipiac. And Ryder is just winning basketball games. And they're coming off barely getting by Fairfield 58-57. That was last Friday. Remember, the sharp cash was all over Fairfield. Big bets all over Fairfield. And I was afraid to do it as Fairfield. I had the vividness bias of Fairfield letting me down. And that was a mistake. But maybe it was a wake-up call for Ryder. Let's hear what Bobano has to say. Take it away, Bobano. Canisius Ryder.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. Could be a wake-up call for this Ryder team. But Ryder's 1-6 ATS their last 7 home games. I'm in agreement with the move. I like Canisius here. I like Canisius here plus the points. And a tough loss in the first meeting this year. Canisius hung right there with Ryder on their home floor at Canisius. It was 66-64 for Ryder back on New Year's Eve. Competitive game. I expect more of the same here. And as, again, the grind of the conference season goes on, I've said this a million times about the Metro Atlantic. This is an underdog conference. It really is. I mean, this is an underdog conference. It's a road underdog conference in particular. And you better have a damn good reason to lay a moderate number in this conference, especially with a home favorite. And then you start to look at Ryder as 1-6 ATS in their last 7 home games, and you realize, no, this ain't the team I want to lay points with right now. And even in their wins, and they've covered 4 of the last 5. Well, 3 of those were on the road. And yeah, they won and covered against St. Peter's. I saw that game, and I was on St. Peter's in that game, and I lost going against Ryder at home. It's the only time I've lost going against Ryder as home favorites. I took Fairfield in that game, their last game. I took Manhattan against Ryder when Ryder was laying 8 at home. Manhattan lost by 2. I took Niagara when Ryder was laying 4.5 at home, and Ryder only won by 3. So more often than not, fading Ryder as home favorites has paid off. I think it does again here. Canisius plus 6.5, minus 110 at Bet365.
You got it. Canisius plus 6.5, minus 110. I wonder if I can. Let me just see if I can get the VIG a little lower very quickly here. We will move on to the next spot. I get it. I get why you would be on Canisius here, but we can get So yeah, we've seen it drop to 6 at some books. That's why we can get you a minus 105 at least at 5 dimes. So we'll give you that plus 6.5 or minus 105. So now we are seeing the market move towards Canisius, show some fear here. It's a lot of money to be on Canisius. At least it's moving to 6. I think that may be in addition. I think I fear these I fear getting overly confident with college basketball, like having a big day on Thursday and then coming into these smaller schools and with confidence, because that burnt me a couple weeks ago. But I think I may add Canisius as well. All right, let's move on to the next spot on the board, 7 p.m. Eastern. Niagara 14-10, 9-6 in the Metro Atlantic. At Mount St. Mary's 8-18, 4-11 in the Metro Atlantic. We're at Knott Arena in Emmitsburg, Maryland. I was sitting here thinking, how on earth could this be the line in this game? And when I think that, I generally, maybe it's mistake, but I generally kind of stay away if I'm just that lost with the line. Niagara opening up at +1 at Pinnacle last night at 7. Let's see what they did over at BetOnline. At BetOnline, Niagara opening up as a pick'em, and now they're +1. They got back to a pick'em at 8:30 in the morning, and then all of a sudden they're the favorites, and that makes sense. Let's go over the money line. So this opened up at BetOnline not until this morning at 7:30 in the morning. They open up at -102 at BetOnline. Within an hour, Niagara's -118. That's a move that makes sense because it's just confusing. But then all of a sudden, right back to Mount St. Mary's being the favorite. That's wild. Let's go over to the total. This total opened up at 124.5. There's been a 5-cent move to the over. And Blue Balls play today's on the Islanders. I love that. Jeffrey Blue, I love that. Troy Torrance just moved on Niagara. Home road dichotomy doesn't matter. They get no fans. Parlay Jays on Niagara. North Ender on the other side. There's the Fowlish Hound in the house. Great to see you, Fowlish Hound. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you're having a great start to your weekend. Fowlish Hound in the house. Lee Davis says Mount St. Mary's has turned it up a bit offensively. Niagara had their 5-game winning streak snapped in a 72-55 loss at home to Iona Sunday's 8-point dogs. This is exactly where I want to back them. They played sloppy basketball. They turned it over 16 times. They're going up against the Minnow to get right again. The Mount come in off their second straight loss and 5th over the last 6 games, 76-72 at Fairfield on Sunday's 4-point dogs. And they lost at Niagara 67-55 back on December 31st. Bobano, who would line this as a pick'em? And can you explain the fact that this is a pick'em and what's your move? You are muted, my guy.
Niagara and the over. I'm on both side and total here. I like Niagara. I like the total's a little too low to me in this game. A little too low. I know they only scored 55 against Iona in their last game, and they had the road game against Siena where they only scored 56. But still, I think more than likely, I think you're going to get into the 60s here with this Niagara team against Mount St. Mary's. Mount St. Mary's hasn't been good defensively. 73, 81, 75, 72. I mean, they're giving up 70s regularly. But Mount St. Mary's has scored into the 70s, 2 of their last 3 games. They haven't been a good offensive team at all, but we've at least seen them pick it up a little bit here in the last couple of games, 2 of their last 3. So I like the over here in this game with the total, Niagara and Mount St. Mary's total. I'm trying to see what the best number is. 124 minus 110 at DraftKings. So over 124 minus 110 at DraftKings. And I will go with Niagara here in this one as well at plus 1.5 minus 120 at BetMGM. We'll go with that. Plus 1.5 minus 120.
Do you want the plus 1.5 and minus 120? Because it's moving quickly at Bookmaker and BetChris. You can have Niagara at plus 105 money line.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good. That's the better. Win the game. I like that. Niagara plus 105 because, I've been on those sides where I go money line on a slight road or a slight underdog and they lose by 1 and it pisses me off. So that's why I'm always thinking maybe the plus 1.5. But yeah, I'll go with that. I think just from a money standpoint and a math perspective, it makes more sense. Niagara plus 105 and over 124. I just simply think Niagara's the better team here. Okay, and Mount St. Mary's is 1-6 ATS, their last 7 home games. There's no home court advantage. It's a sterile environment. It doesn't give them any sort of edge whatsoever. So, and I think Niagara, the difference is they're a little bit more fluid offensively. And I think right now, clearly they're better defensively than Mount St. Mary's. So, yeah, Niagara money line over 124.
Yeah, but by the way, and I don't mean to just kind of sit here and nitpick with this spot, but we can get you a plus 1.5 and minus 110 if you are. But
let's go for the plus price.
Yeah, I like getting the drop the vig and add a little. Yeah, I like the plus 105 myself too.
If they win the game, they probably, if they cover, they probably win. Let's be honest. Yeah.
This is a Metro Atlantic special here. That a team like Mount St. Mary's 4-11 in conference would be the favorite at home against Niagara. Niagara coming off a loss against the best team in the conference. I could not believe my eyes, and I will have to trust you here, or not trust you, but cheer for you here. I can't. It's too confusing for me to move on myself. Let's keep rolling. This is a team you've had a nice read on playing at home. The Marist Red Foxes at home, 8-16, 4-11 in the Metro Atlantic against the Fairfield Stags, 11-14, 7-8. We're at McCann Arena, Poughkeepsie, New York. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Fairfield, Marist. Fairfield seemed to be the team that the Sharps are on week in and week out, and I've not handled them right. I've made mistakes with Fairfield, not bet them when I should have bet them like last week. Here, they open up at -1. They're now -2. They've got to -2 a couple times before and dropped, but they're at -2 right now. Totals wise, it's opened up at 125. It's now at 126, so it's gone up a point. Take a look at the cash flow for Fairfield. Marist, we have, where are we? Here we have 2,624 tickets in, 81% of the tickets, 89% of the cash on Fairfield. Then 49% of the tickets and 93% of the cash on the under. It's a lot of money on the under, and it's gone up a point. So the book's not concerned with that money on the under. Fairfield coming off snapping their 4-game losing streak in a 76-72 overtime victory at home over the Mount as 4-point favorites on Sunday. Marist comes in off its second straight loss in 7th in 8 games, 73-65 at Siena on Sunday's 10-point dogs. Marist lost badly at Fairfield, badly, 73-54 back on December 30th. In that game, they shot 1 of 13 from 3 and turned the ball over 20 times. That isn't what struck me the most in that game. In that game, Marist went over 10 minutes, Bobano, finishing off the first half and the beginning of the second half without scoring a single point. Over 10 minutes, over 25% of the basketball game without scoring a single point. They were right in that game until the last 5 minutes of the first half. Fairfield, Marist, Bobano, floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, this one, Marist is really, this is an over for me, by the way. I do like the over. It's again, I like these low numbers now when you're starting to see these bad offensive teams just show ever so slight improvement. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing out of Marist right now. I mean, 4 straight overs, and the defense hasn't been great, but for a team that never broke the 50s, at least in their last 4 games, 66, 75, 65, and if they get into the mid 60s here, this has got a great shot to go over the total. In my opinion, there's no question about that. And same with Fairfield, a team that had their issues offensively, but they're coming off a better offensive showing in their last game. You look at 2 straight meetings between these two teams have gone over the total, 135 and 127 in the last 2 meetings between these two teams. The total being where it is here, sitting in the mid 150s. Yeah, we'll lock it in over 125.5 minus 115 at PointsBet.
Bobano over 125.5 at minus 115. I get it, especially because there's all this money on the under, and the book saying, "Oh, you like the under? We'll even lift it up another point for you." So I can understand feeling confident when you see that. Let's just see if. Oh wow, this is climbing this total. Holy, so nice job grabbing the 125. Pinnacles move this now. It's juiced to the under to 127. There's 126s on the boards, 126.5. So this total climbing here. Bobano on the over 125.5 in Fairfield, Marist. We're going to stay in the Metro Atlantic for this next spot. 7 p.m. Eastern, Manhattan Jaspers 9-14, 7-7 in conference. At the Iona Gales 18-7, 11-3 in conference. Iona starting to show that they are the elite in conference.
They're awake and they're alive again. There's no question. Yes.
Yeah, they sure are. They looked awful there for a little bit, and a lot of people were making money fading them, Bobano being one of them. Let's take a look at what we are dealing with here at Bet Online. Opening Manhattan up at plus 17. Manhattan's dropped to plus 16. Total-wise, this opened up at 140. It's now at 141.5. Take a look at the cash flow for this one. They've given Iona line value, 40% line value, 3,159 tickets in, 60% of the tickets, 85% of the cash on Iona, and yet the market moving towards Manhattan from 17 to 16. 78% of the tickets on the over and 91% of the cash on the over, and this total has gone up to 141.5 from 140. Manhattan comes in off its 3rd win in 4 games. 68-52 on Sunday at home over St. Peter's as 2-point favorites. They're playing good basketball, but Iona at the Heinz Athletic Center in New Rochelle, New York, ramping it up for a spot in the tourney, coming off their 5th straight win, 72-55 at Niagara as 8-point favorites. It was clinical. They looked very good. Iona won at Manhattan 84-76 back on January 20th. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Metro Atlantic action and a huge favorite.
Dogging over. I don't, man, I know I'm going against the monster right now. I know Iona's looking like the class of the Metro Atlantic again after showing some vulnerability because they've gone 4 straight wins, 4 straight covers, and they've just destroyed 3 of these teams. Mount St. Mary's by 30, Canisius by 21, Niagara by 17. And if they win by those margins tonight, they're going to cover, even laying 16 and that. But Manhattan's been a thorn in their side. They really have. They've covered 4 straight. The 3 Iona victories were by 8 in overtime earlier this year, a 12-point win and a 7-point win. That's it. It's been a tough series for Iona. And, when you look at the way this sets up for them too, they go to St. Peter's after this. I wouldn't call that a look ahead. St. Peter's did go to the tournament though last year and won the conference. Let's not forget that. But still, I don't know if that's a huge look ahead, but I think if there's ever a spot to step in front of this freight train that is Iona, I think it could be tonight. They're laying a massive, massive number. Manhattan has been competitive in every recent conference game. They are in their last 9 games. This team is 5-4 straight up, but the 4 losses by 11, by 6, by 2. The 8-point loss at home to Iona earlier this year. They've been in every game. I like Manhattan here getting a boatload in this game. So let's lock that in. Manhattan here plus the 16.5 minus 114 at FanDuel. Plus 16.5 minus 114 at FanDuel. And over 141 minus 110 at Bet99. So there you go. Side and total.
Over 141.
Huge over series history. Every game's gone over between these two teams head to head the last 5 or 6.
Nunya says Jaspers all day. Yeah, I get it. Iona didn't beat Manhattan easily, and
Manhattan led down the stretch, I believe. And then Iona caught them and forced overtime, and then Iona had the momentum and they won in OT.
Interesting. Manhattan plus 16.5 for Bobano, and the over 141 at minus 110. All right, let's leave the Metro Atlantic and head to other conferences. First stop is the A10, 7 p.m. Eastern. Dayton Flyers 17-9, 9-4 in conference at Loyola. Chicago Ramblers 9-16, 3-10 in conference. We're in Chicago, Illinois for this one. Take a look at the line history first for our first stop in the A10 today. We have over here, and get this going, over the Bet Online. We have Dayton opening up at -7. They're now -6.5. Totals wise opened up at 131.5, and it's dropped to 131. Cash flow for this one, Dayton Loyola. We have some line value Loyola, slight 10%. 3,337 tickets in, 38% of the tickets and 55% of the cash is on Loyola Chicago. Then 38% of the tickets, but 88% of the cash on the under. This has dropped just a half point. So it's dropped a half point, and again, the side has gone a half point towards Loyola Chicago. Dayton comes in off its second straight win. It was very impressive. 70-56 at home over St. Louis as 5-point favorites last Friday. Loyola Chicago snapped their 2-game losing streak with a 64-62 win at UMass on Tuesday as 4.5-point dogs. They lost at Dayton 85-81 back on January 31st. That's what kind of kept me off of Loyola Chicago here, was because Loyola played hard and played well at Dayton. Dayton's not going to come in thinking this is a easy walk in the park. I mean, they barely got past them at home, and that's the only reason right now that I'm not on Loyola Chicago. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Flyers, Ramblers.
You know what? Loyola Chicago, look, this has not been the season anybody thought from them. There's no question. It's been disappointing beyond belief. But they're coming off a win, and I took Loyola Chicago at UMass, and they won that game. Does it give them a boost? Now, the last time they had a win, the last 2 times, they followed it up, and they lost, and they failed to cover, and they got blown out by double digits. So every time we've seen Loyola Chicago off a win, they haven't been able to follow it up. I think tonight could be different against Dayton because they had Dayton beat at the UD Arena earlier this year, and Dayton needed a late surge in the last couple minutes. They're the team that was in trail mode down the stretch, Dayton, against Loyola Chicago at home earlier this year to force overtime in that game, and then they escaped with the 85-81 win. I think Loyola can hang in this game. I'm going to make them official here. Plus 7.5, minus 115 at BetMGM, Loyola Chicago. I think we have a competitive game. Dayton off a huge win against St. Louis in their last game, 70-56. Keep in mind, this team has not been great on the road here the last few games. George Washington lost outright as 8.5-point road favorites, lost outright as 9-point road favorites at Rhode Island. They lost outright at St. Bonaventure as 5.5-point road favorites. At St. Bonnie is way down from where they were last year. They did beat VCU 62-58 the last road game outright as dogs, but as road chalk, they've been bad here the last few games. I think Loyola at home, knowing they could have beaten this Dayton team, they probably should have beaten this Dayton team. I think that gets the Ramblers going. And Loyola Chicago with the talent, I look at this roster and I say there's more talent on this roster than their record shows. That if there's any team that can maybe go on a late season surge, and maybe now that their power rating has dropped significantly from early in the season, if there's any team that can maybe go on a run, be a little bit undervalued right now, maybe it's this Ramblers team. So I'm on Loyola Chicago here, plus 7.5.
You got it. It's close to a spot that would make my card, but it's not going to at this point. But again, on these Fridays, I can live vicariously through your high volume of action. Loyola plus 7.5 for Bobano. Now we move on to the Horizon. 3 straight games in the Horizon League. We start with Wright State Raiders, 16-11, 9-7 in conference at Cleveland State Vikings, playing some good ball right now, 16-11, 11-5 in conference. We're in the Wolstein Center in Cleveland, Ohio. Shout out to our Ick Schnizzle from the land. Wright State opening up at +1. They're now +1.5. They got to +2 for a while. But opening up at +1, they're now +1.5. Totals wise, it's opened up at 145.5 and it's shot all the way up to 148.5. 3-point move towards the over. Let's take a look at the cash flow for Wright State, Cleveland State. Sports Insight's given Wright State about a little more than, let's say, 35% line value, 3,184 tickets in, 43% of the tickets and 94% of the cash is on Wright State, but they're becoming bigger dogs, so the market has no concern of anybody betting Wright State. 89% of the tickets and 91% of cash on the over. That's where the books have shown concern. Must be sharp money on the over. They've climbed it up 3 points. Wright State comes in off its third straight win, 83-65 at home versus Northern Kentucky as 2.5-point favorites last Friday. They shot 58.2% from the field, 40.9% from three. Cleveland State comes in here off their second straight win, 81-78 at home over Youngstown State, Sunday's 3-point dogs. That's a big win over Youngstown State. We've watched how good the Penguins are this year. Cleveland State won at Wright State back on January 21st as 3.5-point dogs. In that game, they shot very well. They shot 58.5% from the field and 42.9% from three. This one, again, is just, it doesn't fit this prototype for moves I want to bet. There's just mixed messages and reasons to like both squads. And you got to think that Wright State knows how big this game is in Cleveland State, but maybe Cleveland State's putting it all together for a run to the tourney here. Take it away for us, our Horizon League action, Wright State, Cleveland State.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup here in the Horizon League here with Wright State and Cleveland State. You know, Wright State's been one of those teams that I know they started the season strong. There's been, I think, a little bit at least of a leveling off period that they had throughout the month of January, but they're starting to round into form again. 5-1 straight up, 6-0 against the spread their last 6 games. A high-flying offensive team trending over. Cleveland State trending over. Series history trending over. This is going to be another one of those. Ian Cameron, Mr. Over, is back in action here over the total with Wright State and Cleveland State here in this one. I mean, the side's tricky. I don't have a strong feel for the side in this one. I mean, I really like the way Wright State is playing right now. Cleveland State beat them at Wright State 85-77 earlier this year, and now we have Wright State as a slight road underdog. That angle, this is an angle that long-term in college basketball is profitable. A team that lost the first meeting at home as a favorite, and now they're a road dog in the rematch. The road dog in the rematch in revenge is usually a good bet, and that has me leaning Wright State here, plus the points. But I don't know if I want to go against Cleveland State right now. I like the way the team's playing. They've been excellent here on their home court, but I do lean. I might have a smaller bet on Wright State, but I'm not going to make that official. I like this over. I think that's the absolute best bet. Wright State's flying over the total. Cleveland State's got their offense going as good as it's gone all season. 6-1 to the over in their last 7. Yeah, we're going to go over here with Wright State and Cleveland State in this game. And the best total out there right now, actually, you know what? 147.5 minus 120 at Proline Plus. Let's lock that in for the total.
147. There is a 148.5 at minus 102, but 147.5.
I don't mind the minus 120. Minus 120 is a fair price. Yeah, I don't like playing more than that, but minus 120 is fine.
You got it. Wright State, Cleveland State, the over 147.5. And the way you feel about the side was perfectly put. And that's what's keeping me off of this spot. But the over is a legitimate look. By the way, Heritage has moved it to 149. The other books are hanging 148.5. Bobano paying the dime for 147.5. We stay.
And remember, people might think, wait a minute, Ian, you're buying points. I mean, and I tell people, this is not me buying points. I'm not buying points. This is line shopping. That's what I'm doing. It's minus 120 over 147.5 at Proline Plus. So I just want to point that out. I am not buying a point or a half a point or anything. This is line shopping. This is just me. There's not buying any points. This is me looking for the best number at all times.
I love it. Let's stay in the horizon. 7 p.m. Eastern, Northern Kentucky, 16-11, 11-5 in conference at Purdue, Fort Wayne, 15-12, 7-9 in the horizon. Allen County War Memorial Coliseum in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Let's go to the line history here for this one. Oh, I'm still on this. Sorry, still on Wright State. Let's move over to Northern Kentucky, PFW. And here we go. Over at Pinnacle, PFW opening up at +2, now +2.5. Bet Online opening up at +1.5, now at +2.5. Got up to +3. So, Northern Kentucky coming off a very ugly. Oh, no, because they played again. They played IUPUI after that loss. So, okay. So that's where we stand. Totals-wise, opening up at 132, now at 132.5. Let's take a look at the cash flow for Northern Kentucky PFW. We have line value on Northern Kentucky about 40%, 2,445 tickets in, 56% of the tickets, 64% of the cash on Northern Kentucky, 75% of the tickets and 86% of the cash on the over, 75 and 86, and it's gone up a half point. Just a half point. Northern Kentucky snapped their 2-game losing streak with a dominant 86-47 victory at home over lowly IUPUI on Sunday as 17.5-point favorites. PFW comes in off their third straight loss, 71-64 at home over Robert Morris's 5-point favorites. It was ugly. And they lost. Oh, this is the wrong. Yeah, I'm going to double check this, but they lost badly at Northern Kentucky, 74-54 back on January 21st. I want to double check that because I have the team wrong there, so I'm going to double check that. Take it away for us here. Northern Kentucky, Norris, Purdue, Fort Wayne, Mastodons. Floor is yours.
Yeah, Northern Kentucky, the Norse, in this game, they hadn't been playing well, but they beat up a bad IUPUI team, 86-47 in their last game. Does that get them going a little bit here? I mean, certainly Purdue, Fort Wayne, other than the Oakland win on the road, they've struggled 1-4 straight up, 1-4 against the spread their last 5. Northern Kentucky's won and covered or won 3 straight head-to-head against Purdue, Fort Wayne. Earlier this year, it was 74-54 at home for Northern Kentucky. They were only laying 3 in that game. Now they're laying, in this game, about 2-3 points on the road. In this one, I just think they're better. I mean, this line looks shockingly cheap on the Norse, quite honestly, here tonight. And I'm just trying to see, is there an injury? Is there something that we're not aware of that's keeping this line anchored where it is right now? But to me, it's Northern Kentucky or nothing for me in this game. I think they're certainly still the better squad. And if you actually look at some of these results here of late, they've, at home, they're 13-3. They're only 3-5 on the road. Purdue, Fort Wayne, 8-5 at home. But, this is one where, and this is the Jimmy instinct is honestly in my head with this game. Like, why on earth is Northern Kentucky only laying 2.5, 3 in this game a little bit? But I'm going to come back. When you recap my college basketball, I'll make a final decision on whether I pull the trigger on Northern Kentucky. I'm close. I'm going to, sit on it a little longer, but I do lean NKU.
I can understand your uncomfort with the line. Shout out to Parlay J. Thank you for the $4.99 dono. Thank you for thinking of us, my guy. I hope you have a very profitable day. I hope you get that cash, my man. All right, let's move on past Northern Kentucky PFW, but we stay in the horizon. Detroit Mercy, the Titans, 11-16, 7-9 in conference. At Oakland Golden Grizzlies, 12-16, 10-7 in conference. We're at the Athletics Center Arena here in Rochester. Let's take a look at Rochester, Michigan. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Move over here and see what we are dealing with. Now, I've already told you guys about the implied line value from Sports Insights on Oakland, and I almost bet them last night. I came very close, and I held off. Let's break it down here. Detroit opening up as 1-point dogs. They're now 2.5-point dogs. I'd probably feel comfortable if I had bet them, seeing the line move 1.5 in their direction. Totals-wise, this opened up at 157. It's dropped all the way to 153, but that doesn't tell the whole story. It got down to 151.5 an hour and a half ago. So that was the floor, and it's come up since then. Take a look at the cash flow for Detroit Mercy, Oakland. We have here we go with here we go. So as I said, Dartmouth and Oakland have been given the most line value on the entire board. 90% of the tickets are on Oakland. 94% of the cash is on Oakland. That's with 3,643 tickets. 83% of the tickets and 95% of cash on the over, and yet it dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. Swiss Horton says, I don't live far from the Mercy downtown campus. Fortunately, it's filled with bums sleeping around the campus. Says, give me Oakland. That's an interesting angle. Interesting gapping angle. Swiss, my guy. Detroit Mercy comes in off their third win in 4 games. It was a very ugly 2-game road trip for Detroit Mercy. I mean, they play Milwaukee. They lose. Then they play Green Bay on Saturday as 12-point favorites. They win by 5. They barely beat Green Bay. It was ugly. And Bobano's mentioned how good they are at home and how bad they are on the road, on these Fridays with us. Oakland comes in off their third win in 4 games. It was a very underwhelming 85-81 win at home over IUPUI on Wednesday night as 14.5-point favorites. They were 2 of 18 from 3. So those 2 things, the fact that they did not play well in their last game, the fact they shot 2 of 18 from 3, that makes me think, okay, they're going to play better here. But this kind of held me back, and maybe it shouldn't have. They won at Detroit Mercy 76-67 back on January 23rd. They won pretty comfortably there. I guess I kind of wish I was on Oakland, and maybe there's still time. Take it away, Bobano. Detroit, Oakland.
Yeah, definitely. All these a huge move on Oakland here, down up to 2.5, and Oakland. Yeah, I mean, Jay's asking. All the tickets on the line has moved. Yeah, I mean Detroit. Yeah, that's.
I never saw a +1 like Lee saw. Did you see it at plus ever?
No. I mean, I like Oakland too. I bet Oakland already, but it's now. And I got a -110 money line, and it's -140. I don't feel I want to put that on as an official play. That's just not good handicapping. It's just not. I mean, if you bet -110, why are you giving out -135, -140? I do like the Oakland side, but what I do like and what I will make official here is another over, Mr. Over in action again here in this game. I think both teams trending that way. If you look at the numbers here in the conference play, when you look at this matchup, it looks like both teams offensively should be able to thrive. Detroit, we know, struggles at the defensive end. Bart Torvik website, and I trust his website implicitly when it comes to totals because it's usually spot on. They've got this total at 158. All right, they've got this total at 158, so this is significantly lower than that. And I think this game definitely can get up and over that number. Let's go with over 151.5 -115 at PointsBet.
Over 151.5 at -115. Yeah, I mean, it opened around that number, but it got hammered to the under. And the bets are made on the over. I don't think it's too late for me to move on Oakland. I'll have to take them at a 2 or a 2.5, but I don't think it's too late. I don't know why. It was just the fact that they beat Detroit Mercy. But look how bad Detroit's playing on the road. Yeah. Why would anybody think that they'll? And I like Oakland coming off that 2 for 18 from 3.
Yeah, don't be fooled by the wins on the road for Detroit. IUPUI and Green Bay, the bottom feeders of the conference. So don't be too excited about that.
Squeak past Green Bay.
Yeah.
All right. So I think I'm going to add Oakland. I'm going to add Oakland. I'm going to add Oakland here. I should have moved on it earlier. Let's move back to the Metro Atlantic, and then we have WAC, Mountain West, and WAC to follow to finish off the show. So we had one last spot in the Metro Atlantic here. 5 games left on our show. 9 p.m. Eastern, Quinnipiac Bobcats 17-9, 8-7 in the Metro Atlantic at Siena St 17-9, 11-4. We're in Albany, New York, MVP Arena. If you go to Saratoga in the summertime, you probably get a hotel in Albany because Saratoga is so damn expensive. Take a look at the line history here for this one. We have Quinnipiac opening up at +3. They immediately went to +2 when the line came out. Then they got up to +3.5 last night. Right now they're at +2.5. So it's been a half-point move towards Quinnipiac. Total-wise, this opened up at 140, and it's now at 141. Let's take a look at the cash flow here. 3,209 tickets in. Siena has a sliver of line value, but the big bets are coming in on the Bobcats. 15% of the tickets and 73% of the cash. Wow. 94% of the tickets are on the under, and I don't have a cash flow for it. Quinnipiac comes in off their third straight loss. It was a debacle. 85-65 at Canisius on Sunday is 4.5-point favorites. Just horrific. Siena come in off their second straight win, 73-65 at home over Marist on Sunday as 10-point favorites. They beat Quinnipiac 83-76 at Quinnipiac earlier this year as 3-point dogs. Take it away here, Bobano. What do you think of this perceived sharp money on the Bobcats?
I think it's warranted. Siena's been a bad home favorite lately. Another ditto in this conference. There's so many teams that have been bad home favorites, and we're starting to see another one here with this Siena squad. I mean, at home to Marist, they didn't cover. They won, but they didn't cover. Home against Niagara, they lost outright as home favorites. Fairfield, they lost outright as home favorites. You got to go all the way back to Mount St. Mary's, who are a pretty bad team, to see the last time that Siena covered as home chalk. So I think there's reason why this number's short, and I think there's reason why and Siena's been banged up. Siena hasn't been able to keep the same rotation going. Massarello there, the coach, he can't keep the same group together one game to the next because of injuries. That's, I think, hampered this team's performance level quite a bit. Now, I know they won their last two, but Mount St. Mary's and Marist at home, and again, the Marist game was a non-cover. The question is, can you trust Quinnipiac enough? Like, they've looked rough, no doubt. I mean, a home loss to Mount St. Mary's is a bad loss. Blown out on the road by Canisius is a bad loss. But I think in this game here, Quinnipiac, and they won at Siena last year. Actually, I think that might have been that was the conference tournament, 77-71. And this is that angle again where you see the road team, Siena, road dogs, or they were as home favorites earlier this year. December 30th, Quinnipiac lost outright to Siena at home, 83-76 as home favorites. Now they're road dogs in the rematch and in revenge. I've said for long term, I believe that's 57-58% winners, ATS, the last 10 to 15 years betting that angle blindly. The road underdog in revenge in the conference season against a team that beat them as home favorites earlier in the season. And so that says bet Quinnipiac here, and I am going to bet Quinnipiac here actually in a buy low spot against a Siena team that I don't trust right now as home favorites. So I like Quinnipiac here +3, -110 at Bet365 for Quinnipiac, and Mr. Over is back in action. Over 140.5 -112 at ProLine Plus. Quinnipiac's trending over 3 straight, 6 of the last 7. Siena in 3 of the last 4 have gone over, and 7 straight head-to-heads have gone over Quinnipiac versus Siena. So Quinnipiac +3 over 140.5.
I'm going to join you with Quinnipiac. I'm kind of see, Alfred says can't go with Quinnipiac after that 20-point blowout. I'm the opposite, Alfred. That's what I want. I want the team to get slapped in the face. I want the team to be angry. I want them to come in sharp. That's what's kind of pushing me towards the first half look. But I don't think there's a mistake here. But I'm the opposite, Alfred. I do not want my team to beat Columbia 98-66 and then have a real basketball game afterwards. So I'd rather my team, take a shot in the larynx. So Bobano on Quinnipiac +3 -110, the over 140.5. I'm interested. I'm going to move on Quinnipiac in some form. I like that you're getting the 3 over. Let me just go back to this line history one more time here. Let's see what Pinnacle's done with it. They opened this up at 2. It's now 2.5. They got up to 3. I think I can understand why the books are moving it. I mean, you have 85% of the tickets on Siena. So I'm going to move on it. Sorry.
That's a great that's the comment of the day from Razor Sharp. Nasty Nate said take Celtics trifecta tonight, even though they don't play, he still likes it.
Yeah.
I know he does, yeah.
Parlay J, I don't understand that. Stop looking at the numbers. It's real people with emotions playing these games. That's what people need to think about before betting. What do you? I'm not sure how to answer that, Parlay J. And I love capping with you, but I don't know what do you mean? Like what? What do you want me to say?
I think he's trying to say that the numbers on the season say Siena's the better team here by far. You got a team with a 3-game losing streak that's looked downright awful. And Siena, I agree with that. And for the full season, they are the better team than Quinnipiac. But, the number's short. They have been banged up. Like I said, they haven't kept the same starting 5 now, multiple games in a row. And Quinnipiac has played Siena tough. And that angle is really strong. I really respect that angle. That's been just such a good angle for all the years I've been in this business, capping college basketball. Conference revenge, when the first meeting, the team, Quinnipiac, was a home favorite over Siena at home, lost that game at home, and now they're a road dog catching points in the rematch. Long term, like I said, for the last 10, 15 years, it's like a high 50s percentage, almost 60% ATS, that angle. I respect that angle. I don't always bet it, but I definitely respect it.
Yeah, I like that angle. I'm not sure. I guess if it's about emotions,
it's even stronger if it's a close loss. Like if it's a blowout loss in the first meeting, they were a home team and they were favored and they were blown out. It's not always as strong, but if it's a pretty competitive game, reasonably competitive game, close game, it becomes even stronger in the rematch.
Parlay J saying that you said that perfectly. So I won't mention that I think Desi Jones is sad and angry after that 20-point loss at Canisius. Sad, angry. Yeah. And I think he's going to take his emotions to the court. And I think Quinnipiac and Desi Jones will cover the first half because of the anger inside their 5'10" point guard. Let's move on. 9 p.m. Eastern, Utah Tech Trailblazers, 11-15, 3-10 in the WAC. We make a WAC debut here at the Southern Utah Thunderbirds, 17-9, 9-4 in Conference America First Event Center in Cedar City. Not Cedar. That was wrong. Cedar City, Utah. Let's take a look at the line.
Cedar City.
What the hell's wrong?
Cedar Falls for Iowa, yeah.
Love these beautiful cedar trees you have. Yeah. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Southern Utah, being a kind of a finicky basketball team, but one that can be trusted at home, opening up at -9.5, now -8. So there's been a 1.5 move to the Utah Tech Trailblazers. From a total perspective, opening up at 156, it's dropped a half point to 155. Swiss Horton says Jimmy goes crazy for Southern Utah. They've made me a lot of money at home over the past few years at the America First Event Center. Let's take a look at the cash flow for Utah Tech, Southern Utah. We have line value given to Utah Tech here, quite a bit, 40%, 2,522 tickets in, and all the bets are coming on Southern Utah. You got 86% of the tickets and 98% of cash on Southern Utah, and yet it drops a 1.5. 53% of tickets and 67% of cash is on the over. Utah Tech come in off their second straight win, 75-71 at home versus Tarleton Saturday is 2.5-point favorites. Southern Utah comes in off its second loss in 3 games, 90-83 at Utah Valley is 5.5-point dogs, and we know how good Utah Valley is this year. And they just lost at Utah Tech. That's why I'm a little surprised if all the money's on Southern Utah. Why is the market moving towards Utah Tech? Southern Utah knows that Utah Tech just beat them on February 4th. We're talking 13 days ago. 86-79 is 3.5-point favorites. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Utah Tech, Southern Utah.
Yeah, I don't want to step in front of you, Southern Utah here at home in revenge mode. Utah Tech beat them earlier this season. That's a pretty strong home court. They've got 11-1. You look at the home results, 1-covered against Tarleton State at home, 1-covered against Utah Valley, who are one of the better teams in this conference at home. I could see them winning and covering here. Do I want to lay 8? I'm not so sure, but I lean home favorite here in this game. We should see points here. It's a question of, do you want 156? That's a pretty high total. And even though I'm an over guy, I'm a little hesitant on this one here when you look at the number. Although, man, I'm just looking at it now. Bart Torvik's got this total at 163. So obviously that site thinks this total is a little bit too low. And I might go with this. I'm just I just want to see what they're doing in conference play, these teams here, in terms of their current results, because obviously their full season numbers, both of them offensively, are pretty strong. There's no question. Both of them are better offensively than defensively. Both teams play fast. That's important to point out as well going into this game. I'm just taking a look now to see in terms of their conference statistics here, what we're looking at with Utah Tech. But let me just see here. Oh, that's not working, the conference only stats. But bottom line is, I think both of these teams certainly are going to push pace. They're better offensively than defensively. You look at Utah Tech on the road. We've seen Abilene Christian went 157 total points. Tarleton State, which plays at a snail pace, and that game still got to 146 in that game over the total with Utah Tech. And then Grand Canyon, they scored into the 174s in that game. So, like I say, I lean to the home favorite. I might have a smaller bet on that. I am going to make the over here official. I am, after further investigation. Let's go with that. Over one. Oh, you know what? Pinnacle's got over 155.5 minus 118 with this over right now at Pinnacle. So I like that number, over 155.5 minus 118.
You got it. Lock it in. Tech, Southern Utah at the America First Event Center. The over 155.5 from Bobano.
In Cedar Falls.
Cedar
City.
What's wrong with me? It's funny. I guess just with the health stuff going on, I'm having trouble sleeping. And because usually when I have a huge monstrous day, I sleep like a baby. But that did not happen. Did not happen last night. All right, we have 3 games left, and they're fascinating games. I've moved on one of them. I almost moved on the next one, and I still may move on it. We head to the Mountain West for the next 2. We close the show with the D-Gen special, Abilene Christian, Grand Canyon. And let us remind you, razor sharp picks, horse bet of the day at Golden Gate Fields. I've already copied and pasted this. Race 2, the 5, Dizzy Desmura for razor sharp picks. Not a gambler.
Start betting that. If it's just one bet, like it's the pick sixes, it's just too much money in play and all kinds of shit. And some books don't even let me do that. So, but that horse play of the day, if he's got these single horses and he's feeling good about it, I got to start betting some of these. Yep. So I'll bet that too.
He's running real. He picked up 3.6K on that little pick six yesterday. 3.6K yesterday. And don't forget, he will be hosting tonight's show, live bet stream. Oilers at home to the Rangers.
I'll be on it at some point. I don't know when, but I'll be on it at some point.
I love it. Shout out to Razor Sharp Picks. All right. Head to the Mountain West. Air Force Falcons, 13-14, 4-10 in conference at the Wyoming Cowboys, 8-17, 3-10 in conference. Arena Auditorium in Laramie, Wyoming. Take a look at the line history for this one. We have Wyoming opening up as 4-point favorites. They moved to 4.5. Are some books hanging a 5 here? Let me check quickly. Is it sitting still at 4.5? Some books are hanging a 5. Bet365 hanging a 5. I could have gone on them at 4.5 last night at Bet365. So 365's moved to that point. I came very close to doing it. Very, very close to doing it. Cash-wise here, 4,050 tickets in. 69% of the tickets, 79% of the cash is on Wyoming. 54% of tickets, 67% of cash is on the over. Let's see what they've done to the over. Let me get back here. We'll do a Pinnacle here just because it's up. And the total for Penny opened up at 133.5 and it's dropped to 130.5. So we've dropped 3 points over at Penny. Well, then we must see what BetOnline did do it. What did BetOnline open this up at? BetOnline opened this up at, whoa. See, that's why you got to look at the difference. BetOnline opened this up at 135. So we got a 5-point drop on the total over at BetOnline. Wow. All right. Air Force comes in off their 7th loss in 8 games, 80-65 at Utah State on Tuesday as 13.5-point dogs. Wyoming comes in off snapping their 3-game losing streak, 70-56 at New Mexico on Tuesday. And, we get to talk about the Lobos and San Jose State Spartans in the next game. So it's nice having these games back to back. New Mexico looks awful. Wyoming lost at Air Force 82-74 back on January 17th as 4.5-point dogs. I came so close to betting Wyoming, like literally finger on. It's so funny one thing talking about it and saying, "Oh, I like this team." It's another thing when you're like, "Oh, I'm going to bet on the Cowboys that are 8-17, 3-10 in conference." It's another thing when you got it, and I couldn't do it. I just didn't. But I wanted to see what the market did, and I wanted to hear your analysis. So take it away, Bobano. Air Force, Wyoming.
Yeah, I mean, Wyoming obviously has been a great disappointment this year. They've had injuries galore. Multiple guards have been banged up. They haven't had their stud big man Graham Ike all year. That's been a problem as well. And yet, maybe signs of life here. I mean, a little bit at least. At Boise State, they covered. And at New Mexico last game, 70-56. They won outright as 9-point dogs. Extremely impressive. I keep thinking that this team is, and look, I mean, Air Force has been pathetic on the road these last 4 road games. So I am in on Wyoming here. I think now we're starting to see a little bit of a turning of the corner for them slowly. Maldonado, he's the guy that stirs the drink for this team. And when he gets 20 points like he did against New Mexico, he played a great game. They've got a great shot. I'm going to lock this in here. -4.5, -115 at BetMGM here with Wyoming.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. Well, I guess what was happening is we talk about the biases all the time that we have. And when Air Force lost to Nevada, and I had Air Force at +11, and it was 46-45. And Air Force lost that game 72-52. And I was like, because they've played some okay ball, Air Force, over the last little while. And they were playing well in Nevada in that spot. But I think I want to join you here. But let's lock Bobano in. Bobano, Wyoming -4.5. I think I do. I think I will. I think I've heard enough. I think I will. Let's move on to 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Stay in the Mountain West. This is one of the 2 bets I made last night. And I'm nervous here. Let's see what the line history is. We have the New Mexico Lobos 19-7, 6-7 in the Mountain West. I guess why I'm nervous is so usually if New Mexico coming off a 70-56 loss at home to Wyoming is 10.5-point favorites, that's at the pit in front of 11,500 people. I would want to back them, but the next game, but they've lost 4 straight. I mean, this is a team falling apart right now. And my thought was I want to put my foot on the throat of New Mexico. So let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Over at Pinnacle, they opened up San Jose State -1.5. But over at Bet Online, they opened them up at a pick'em. Let me just make sure that is true. Yes, they opened up at a pick'em. They're now -1.5. And they didn't last long at a pick'em either. Total wise, this opened up at 145. It's now at 143.5. Troy Torrance says San Jose State has been hot. Let's pull up the line or the cash flow for this one. They've given San Jose State some line value. 3,643 tickets in. 59% of the tickets and 77% of cash is on San Jose State. 57% of the tickets and 87% of cash is on the over. 57 and 87. Yet this total's dropped 1.5. Danielson in the house. Great to see you, Danielson. Says a New Mexico point guard has been out. New Mexico's been horrible. He might return tonight, says Danielson. Let's pull up that point guard as well here. Let's move over here. That is Jalen House. So last 2 games with a hamstring injury. Undetermined whether he will suit up Friday. Undetermined whether House will suit up Friday. San Jose State, by the way, has Amy Jr. out, their guard with an ankle injury. No word on when he will return. So New Mexico comes in off its 4 straight losses, I said. San Jose State seems to be moving in a completely different direction. They've won 2 straight. They've won 3 of their last 4. They come in off winning at UNLV Tuesday as 6.5-point dogs. They have momentum. Something that I liked about that basketball game here from me, from a psychological standpoint, is they shot 48.2% from the field and 40% from 3. They're shooting the ball nice. They dominated the boards. And they were sloppy. They turned the ball over 16 times. I want something for Tim Miles to be screaming in their face about. Don't get complacent. Yes, you shot well. Yes, you went into UNLV and won. And look, we're moving up the standings in the Mountain West, but you played sloppy out there, and you can't do that against low. That's what I want Tim Miles screaming at them. And knowing that he's going to be screaming at them, I was like, look, I want to back them here. Not only that, but they lost badly at New Mexico, 77-57 back on January 17th. In that game at the Pit, they shot 33.9% from the field and 18.8% from three. Smith Legacy says New Mexico needs House. That scares me, Danielson, that you're saying that he will be in, or not that he will be in, but that he may be in. Let's see. The market isn't telling me that he's going to be in. That's a good sign. Let's hear what Bobano has to say. Lobos, Spartans.
Wow, this is tough because I didn't expect San Jose State to not necessarily be favored. I was hoping maybe small home dogs, maybe pick them. Now they're favored. I can't take New Mexico. I know that. I know I don't want to back New Mexico, but they're in free fall right now. But we're ready to lay points with San Jose State. I mean, for the longest time, this has not been a great San Jose State team. And I was on San Jose State at UNLV, but catching big points on the road at a UNLV team that's kind of been more up and down, it feels like New Mexico's still the better team. So I just don't love where the number is. So pass for me.
A pass. Do you agree with this total? The market moving this down. Well, it was down, what, a 1.5 from the opener?
Hey, New Mexico was a dead nuts over team for me for a long time, but they ain't shooting straight right now at all. The offense has crumbled, so I'm not in a rush to bet it over. I can see why there's under sentiment.
Lee Davis 5-1 against the spread of revenging a road loss. And Parlay J says my boy Moore playing on San Jose State is playing. And Parlay J also fading his boy Moore, which makes me nervous. I know if Pete saw that, he would think, I got to be on New Mexico. This makes me nervous. It's going to be a fun one to watch at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Let's talk about the final game on our board, the 23rd game that we will have capped, including NHL, all the games on our Friday night card right now. Start with Abilene Christian Wildcats, 13-12, 7-7 in conference at the Grand Canyon Lopes, 16-10, 8-6 in conference, GCU Arena in Phoenix, Arizona, home of our Clint McLean, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. This opened up with Abilene Christian plus 5.5. They are now plus 7. I could have got on Grand Canyon at -6. I had that opportunity last night. I looked at it for quite a while. They're now -7. Total wise, opened up at 141.5. We're now up at 144.5. So a move to Grand Canyon and a move to the over. Grand Canyon has been given slight line value from Sports Insights. 3,235 tickets in. 61% of the tickets are on Grand Canyon, and we don't have a cash count. Total-wise, 90% of the tickets are on the over, and 97% of the cash is on the over. So a ton of money on the over. Yes, North Ender, we just finished, or no, 2 back. We finished the Wyoming breakdown, my man. So just 2 back, and Bobano did move on Wyoming, and I want to join him. But here, Abilene Christian coming off having their 3-game winning streak snapped in a 77-62 setback at home to Sam Houston Saturday as 1-point dogs. And the Bearcats are good. Sam Houston's a good basketball team. Grand Canyon coming off their second straight loss, 77-76 at home to UT Rio Grande Valley as 12-point favorites. That's a spot where I'd like to back them. I think they, are better here, but how much better? They won at Abilene Christian 75-73 back on January 26th as 2.5-point favorites. Eddie Oiler said Grand Canyon back to their over ways. Parlay J is making a move on Abilene Christian money line. JPG says, I'm pissed I missed the 143. Don't know if I want to take it at 144.5. I didn't know it opened at 141. Let's hear what our Bobano has to say. The final game of our show, 23 games in total. Great work, Bobano. Take it away. Abilene Christian, Grand Canyon.
I'm just looking at it here in this game. I'm Grand Canyon with a 75-73 close game, close win against Abilene at Abilene Christian back on January 26th. You look at recently here, you've seen Abilene Christian. Abilene Christian's had a pretty rough year, but, they played a little bit better lately. They've had extra time off because the New Mexico State season got canceled.
Yeah.
So they were supposed to play 2 days ago. So as a result, they haven't played since last Saturday against Sam Houston State, whereas Grand Canyon played a couple nights ago and they lost to UT Rio Grande Valley. That's now 2 losses in a row for them. You look at what they've been at home lately. This used to be a strong home court. Not lately. 0-4 ATS, their last 4 home games. Barely beat Utah Tech, lost outright to Utah Valley. Barely beat Stephen F. Austin, lost outright to Rio Grande Valley in the last game. I like Abilene here, getting points. I think they're a live dog. I like the situationals that favor them with the whole week to get ready for this game. Abilene and Grand Canyon had to play a couple nights ago. So I'm on Abilene Christian, the Wildcats here, +7, -110 at DraftKings. And how can we not end the show with another over? And I like the over here. This is an obvious over to me. Obvious. Now, it still could stay under, but 9-1 to the over for Grand Canyon the last 10. 6 straight games for Abilene have gone over the total. We saw both meetings the last 2 years between these teams since they became conference foes go over the total. We saw 163 in the game last year, 148 in the game earlier this season between them. So, yeah, Abilene Christian +7 and over 144 -110 at DraftKings.
You got him, Bobano. It's going to be fun for me. I don't need to prep for show tomorrow because it's Friday, obviously, but I will be following this late night action because you got a ton of it and I don't have very much of it. And this is going back to what's happened the last couple of Fridays. I just haven't felt like I'll tell you what, 2 weeks ago, I came in on a Friday and I was so confident and I got murked and I'm just a little hesitant, but we're coming off a great winning day.
But I always say about my style too, Jimmy, the high volume style,
Mm-hmm.
when you have those awesome days, man, are they awesome. And when you have those rough days, you feel them. But that's the way it can be. Like it's 9-1 hockey night 2 nights ago, and last night it was a losing night. So, it comes and goes that way.
It does.
Yeah.
And we talk about it often, but you have to not let the losses hurt so much more than the wins feel good. And we all need to think about that over and over again because the losses always tend to hurt so deeply. And the wins, you're just like, okay, feels good, but I expected to win it. And then the losses, you're just gutted. So let's review all action here. We're coming off a monster day, 12-4 plus 8.19 units. And I need more of that. We're going to review all action, starting in hockey. Bobano and I are both on the Islanders. He's on the -105. I'm on the -1 plus 154. I bet that last night. I'm on the Ottawa Senators -1.5. I felt like I had to move on them. I felt like I had to. I like the way they're playing very much. 1-6-7. It was Sogard that had me hesitant, but I love now that Mrazek is in that. Ron Crawford, NHL spreadsheet play of the day, is also on the Ottawa Senators. Shout out to our Ron Crawford. Razor Sharp Pick says, if anyone starts off with a bad night, 7 p.m. games, join Cab and myself tonight, 8:45 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live betting every game going on, horses, and especially the Rangers-Oilers game. Bo Jackson wondering if anybody is in Montreal this weekend. I know Slatsy is. Be cool if you guys could meet up. Nice, just right in Montreal. Nice. So Bobano moved in a different way here in this Blackhawks Senators game. He's on the over 6.5 plus 102. He's on the Brinkat anytime goal and over 2.5 shots, and Stützle over 2.5 shots. So those are his looks. He's all over that game. Bobano is on the Stars -106 in the draw plus 316, and he's on Eriksson Ek over 2.5 shots at -160. I stayed off that game, although I'm very interested in it. The Wild are in trouble, but they just lost. I mean, it's almost like if they lose here, they got to be done. Stick a fork in them. They're done. 9 days off of losing 4-1 in Dallas. Are they going to show anything here? Bobano's on the over 6.5 in LA Anaheim in the Kings' first period, -0.5 at plus 125. I feel like I may be leaving money on the table, but it's too late here. Rick J says more about fading the Ducks. Bobano's on Tarasenko point -108 and the over 6.5 in Rangers Edmonton. So in college basketball, we'll go over everything here, and there's a lot of action from Bobano. Dartmouth, team total over 72.5 -110. Then he's on the over 146.5 in Eastern Michigan, Kent State. He stayed off Yale, Penn. And I'm on Pennsylvania. I'm a little nervous about that spot. He's on the over 137 in Harvard, Columbia, and he's on Columbia plus 10.5 -105. He's on Brown plus 6.5 and the over 142.5. He's on Canisius plus 6.5, and I'm very close to joining him on that one. Then he's on Niagara money line plus 105 and the over 124 at -110. He's on over 125.5 in Fairfield Marist. He's on Manhattan plus 16.5 and the over 141 at -110. He's on Loyola Chicago plus 7.5 -115. The over 147.5 in Wright State Cleveland State. Stayed off Northern Kentucky and PFW. He's on the over 151.5 in Detroit Mercy Oakland. He's also got Oakland on the money line at -110, and he doesn't want to give it out at -140, deeming it irresponsible, and I get it. I am thinking of still moving on Oakland, but, taking them at -2 or -2.5, and we'll see if that gets me right in ye old prison pocket. Bobano's on Quinnipiac +3 in the over 140.5. I'm leaning towards the first half with Quinnipiac, but I will be I'm not doubling up, but I will have a look on Quinnipiac in this game. Bobano's on the over 155.5 in Utah Tech, Southern Utah. He's on Wyoming -4.5, -115, and I'm going to be joining him. I probably should have moved on last night. I'm on San Jose State -1.5. Few cappers in the chat not agreeing with that look. Bobano stayed off of it, but he is on Abilene Christian Wildcats +7 to -110 and the over 144 at -110. Excellent work, Bobano. You can catch him starring in our NCAA Pub Hub Saturday morning. Our Friday show tonight will be Dabra Kadabra alongside Connor Mack picks. And you can also catch him on our NHL live stream alongside Razor Sharp picks and Dabby Cab this evening. Great work, Bobano. Why don't you stick around here as we just put a bow on this? Thank you guys so much for everybody in the chat supporting the show. I'm That Heat, Archie20. My man, Luis from Costa Rica. I'm trying to figure out a way to get down there, man. Flights are so expensive. Even if I go 11 months in advance, it's still a K round trip. And it wasn't like that when I was living down there, but I'm trying hard, trying to figure out how to get back down there and hang. Jay Peasy, Joe Yurkovich, Parlay J, Andrew Carr, Mad Bull, Razor Sharp Picks, Nikolai Jubinski, Paper Chaser, Xavier Oliver. I see you, Xavier. Parlay J, Brothers and Bets in the house, 1777, Memorabilia. Thank you guys, Lee Davis, Eddie Euler, Jack Rosenblatt. Thank you guys so much for all of your insights and your humor and your angles. Jay Peasy, Danielson, Smith Legacy. Thank you guys. Swiss Horton. Thank you. Bobano, my man, thank you for your hard work. Please follow Bobano on Twitter and support his content because it's excellent. Bobano. Oh, and thank you to our producer, Jose Bouquet, who does such a great job behind the scenes. Check out his World Baseball Classic content that's up. He has his own playlist on our homepage at YouTube, so please support that. And also, book your trip to Pubapalooza 2. Book it. Come down and party with us. Bobano, can you put a bow on this show and Lecce us into the future?
Yeah, I haven't done a Lecce because I haven't been on at the end of the show for a while. But yeah, great stuff. Hit the like button on the way out. Great show. I'll be on the bet stream at some point tonight during the for Rangers Oilers with Cabby and Razor Sharp and Pub Hub tomorrow morning. Lots to look forward to. Great weekend. Hopefully everyone cashes some tickets. Great to always be on the show. As always, Jimmy, have a good weekend. Everybody in the chat, have a good weekend. Let's cash some tickets and Lecce and Los Bookmakers.